Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Try-F Podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. And today, we have a odd show. I'm a little out of it. I'm a little loopy, but I'm going to try to power through this. So, first,
Drugs
House
are
of
bad,
David,
okay.
episode 5. Yeah, drugs are bad. Those clowns, those clowns at the circus. Yeah, I took my kid to the circus, and yeah, there's probably drugs there. I probably absorbed something. So
Clowns are Nephilim demons, so I mean that does throw you off a bit.
there we go. Yes, they're Nephilim demons. Short, tiny, frightening Nephilim demons. So
That's mean. Don't make fun of little people.
I am a little people, so I make fun of my own. I do what I want. Okay, so let's see here. Yes, so we're starting with the House of David, and then apparently the South Pole disproved the flat Earth. Am I getting that right, Cody? Or are we debating that, or like
That's what it
what's the
sounds
deal?
like. I mean, I'm just sitting back and watching, but
Okay,
you know.
I'm just asking questions.
Question.
Gotta know the facts. Is that how that goes? Anyway, and then after that, Charlie Kirk and Michael Knowles argued about the Pope. We've been trying to do this video for like a month, and it keeps getting pushed to the back burner. So we're like, well, we need to just go ahead and do that one. And then we're talking about the Marines guarding opium in Afghanistan back in the day. And then we're going to have a chit-chat about the weather, because there's been a bunch of tornadoes and stuff. So
right next to my house.
yeah. Apparently you got. I'm told you have a story, but I haven't been privy to this story. So
I'm curious to
alright.
what went through your head, so I was gonna ask you about it.
Okay, yeah, I look
Yeah.
forward to that.
So all right. So with that said, let's get into House of David episode 5. Now last week I was a big dumb idiot who started reviewing the beginning of House of 5, thinking it was the end of episode 4.
I thought it was House of Saul.
It's House of David, but apparently we're both high. So,
Thank you.
yeah, well, anyway. So, no. So I was, like, the part where David is like, oh, it's so terrible, you've got to marry the man. You know, and he's like, we got to do something about this. And then she goes, we? Implying she don't need no man. That was the beginning of episode 5. I thought it was the end of episode 4 because it was the most interesting thing that had happened in all of episode 4, because the brother got sent away at the end of episode 4, but I didn't even remotely care. So, anyway, there was that. But if I thought episode 4 was boring, episode 5 was even worse. I will say this, there was no more girl
it was
power
not.
stuff. Oh, yes, it was.
Yes, there was.
No, there wasn't.
Yes, there was.
Because there was the stuff that I mentioned at the beginning, and then there wasn't any more girl power stuff at the end of episode 5 because literally nothing happened at all. Like, if you look at this episode, literally nothing is accomplished.
When Saul was having his breakdown while other dude was
One of
talking
two?
about-
Which breakdown?
the
There are
one
multiple
where-
breakdowns.
where he was sitting on the throne listening to what's his name talk about what he wanted from Saul for them to be like partners and stuff.
Yeah, what was
That part.
Yeah, the
And-
Canaanite king that's apparently a demon now.
Oh,
Yeah, because that's the guy Samuel hacked into bits at the first episode. Same actor. Yeah.
no, not
So
that
the
guy.
demon,
that guy.
is manifesting as that king that was killed in the first episode.
Yes, he's manifesting.
Yeah.
And anyways, the wife sees what's going on, and she points at David and points her finger, tells him to
Mm-hmm.
go calm the king down, and then she takes credit for it.
I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
that.
Her
It is
taking
weird.
Credit for David calming down the king, like
Well, she wouldn't give. I mean, to be fair, the character wouldn't give credit to, the servant. The servant does all the work, and then it's like they did it. Like the Pharaoh built the pyramids. He did not, but he gets to say he built the pyramids because he made somebody else do it.
kind of
Unless the aliens did it or some pre-flood, whatever happened with that whole deal. So
kind of like the guy in charge of Apple products.
yeah.
He's got all these scientists that build the phone. And he takes all the credit.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. So it was that kind of deal. I do think it is a little weird. Why didn't they give David a personal interview with Saul before he became the minstrel for Saul? Because the way they have set this up is really sloppy. Because it's like he has this audition, but the audition doesn't seem to be in front of Saul. It seems to be in front of the girlfriend, and that seems to matter for some reason. But it's never established that he's Saul's personal minstrel. And then like the next time you see him actually playing, he's like playing in a band. So I was like really confused like as to what's happening. Did she pull David out of the band because she knew he was really good on an impulse? Or was that like the pre-discussed deal? Like, hey, if he starts going nuts, I need you to be sharp and on it. Like, they didn't establish what exactly the situation was. Why? Because they were too busy writing dialogue that said, I don't need no man. So.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
It's okay. We're calling her the girlfriend. She has a biblical name. We haven't bothered to learn it because girl power. So she is affectionately referred to as the girlfriend.
Was Saul's daughter his first wife?
Was Saul's daughter his first wife?
David's first wife? No.
You mean David, because we're getting into incest territory here. So you mean
no. David.
David, yeah. Saul's daughter was David's first wife. Yes.
And we don't know her name.
We do know her name in the Bible. I just don't know how to pronounce it. So I'm not going to. Therefore, she is the girlfriend.
Well, what Bible verse is it talking about?
I don't know. Look up David chops off a bunch of foreskins. You'll find the name in that story.
Don't search images, though.
Why not? What's going to pop up?
Anyway, so beyond that, though, this episode is like one of the most pointless things I have ever seen. There's a lot of bad media, but bottom line is it accomplishes nothing. We start out with Saul putting on this party to marry off David's future wife because we need drama, as if anybody cares because they've been teasing David and Goliath. And it would be nice to see in an episode, in a series about David and teasing a fight between David and Goliath. It'd be nice to see. Which character would be great to see? Goliath. At some point, we've gotten fleeting glimpses, but we're 5 episodes in. He's maybe had like 2 minutes of screen time, probably closer to 30 seconds. Instead, we get this show is really about Saul's wife and David's girlfriend. Like, they basically use Samuel as bait. It's like, oh, it's that guy from Avatar, and he's Samuel. I want to watch this. And so they used him for 3 episodes, and I don't know if he's going to come back, frankly. So, yeah, so he was basically a bait. Anyway.
Samuel always comes back.
Well, the Witch of Endor scene would suggest you're right, but anyway. Not really, but anyway. So we have this wedding feast, and it's just very bizarre, because...
How bizarre?
The girl, I am so tired. I'm going to have to limp through this. So the girl's flirting with the guys, and David is sitting next to Saul, playing the harp, because Saul's kind of going nuts. Saul calms down.
Wait,
and
the guys were flirting with the girl. She did not want to be there.
She put on a princessy face. She was a good sport. I didn't think she was particularly Kirk.
Sport, yeah.
So
but she did not want to be there.
She was acting as if she was interested to be on the market.
It was kind of like that awkward. You're at the bar. There's one chick and 10 guys trying to hit on her. That type of deal.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good analogy. Anyway, so this is a weird setup. So she's doing her princessy duties, and Saul, for some reason, starts talking to David. And David, our hero, he says something to the point, Saul, for some incomprehensible reason, asks, "Hey, David, which boy should my daughter marry? Because that's what you would ask your servant." And then David is like, "You should marry none. The correct answer is none." And of course, Saul is all confused. And then he's like, "She should marry me." And of course, Saul laughs because that's the only appropriate response. And then David pouts. So I'm like, well, that's our hero, folks. The pouting, petulant teenager. Like they're like totally emasculating David in this episode.
Oh yeah.
He's very, very pouty. He's very, very pouty, and there's no reason for it. Like he's literally wanting to use the fact that he is the Almighty's anointed to win a girl. And I'm like, yeah, way to really set a precedent there, guys. Like, our hero, forget David being a paragon at the beginning. No, he's just like us. If the Almighty gave us a calling, we would exploit it for women. But anyway,
yeah. The name of the girl is Micah, Micha, but with an L, so it's like Mikel.
Micah L.
Micah L.
Micah L. I'm calling her the girlfriend. I'm not. I'm
said it was Michelle.
Michelle. Okay, she's still the girlfriend. She's still the girlfriend because it's condescending, and that's the way I want it. Anyway.
That's so condescending of you.
Exactly. So anyway, Saul laughs in David's face, and David pouts because there was no other way that was going to play out.
Even though he already killed a lion and a bear.
Yeah, but Saul doesn't know that. See, this is the thing that really frustrates me about this show, is it's like, there are opportunities to have good setups, and the beginning is actually pretty well put together, but it just does not take advantage of the opportunities it presented itself. Like when Saul stabbed his first servant with the spear, I thought, oh, well, David's going to replace that servant, and David's going to be in Saul's private chambers a lot, playing the harp while he's having trouble sleeping or something. That way they can kind of bond and connect. That way David can get some credibility slowly over the course of time. That would make sense, but they don't do that. Instead, we have to run everything through Saul's wife, and Saul and David have no chance to interact, so there's no real reason for Saul to respect David's opinion when he says anything. But that's exactly what ends up happening, even though Saul laughed in front of David's face, because in the very next scene, the girlfriend's sister meets one of the brothers, and they start, hitting it off.
Doing things.
Well, we don't know that. There was some risque dialogue between the two of them that I was surprised in a Bible show.
And then they walked off screen.
Some innuendo. Yeah, there were some innuendos.
They were off screen for at least a good minute.
It's as subtle as a
Maybe
train.
they were learning a new handshake.
It was subtle as a train.
It takes time. It takes time to make a handshake with your buddies. It takes time.
Subtle as a train, and that train's name was Sex. But anyway, so they come back from that, and Saul's like, well, you two are getting married now because David made an impression on me. My petulant squire has convinced me not to marry off my eldest daughter for a valuable treaty. I'm going to have it... Well, no, actually, Michelle is the younger daughter. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to marry this other girl instead. Why? I don't know. I've had this for all of 30 seconds. And you're kind of like, okay. And the actor who plays the brother's dad, he has like the perfect response in his defense. This is probably improv because the writing is terrible here. But he kind of looks around and goes, well, one daughter's as good as the other. Yay! Almost exactly in that tone because he's kind of confused. And I thought, yeah, he did that on his own because somebody thought this was clever. But anyway, so we go through that. And then we get towards the end of the episode. The demon starts talking for the second time, but for some incomprehensible reason, David isn't there to play the harp for him. And so he loses his mind, then says nobody's getting married. And that's the end.
David ran off with the older daughter to talk to her for a minute, didn't he?
No. David was in the room when the second breakdown happened.
Oh.
I don't know what he was doing, and I don't know what, Saul's wife was doing. She's been the protagonist of the show the entire time.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but she don't do nothing this time because the plot needs to happen. And so Saul has a fit, nukes all the marriage contracts, and that's pretty well the end of the episode. And you're left going, literally nothing happened. Well, I have been sitting here watching this stupid party for an hour, and literally nothing has changed.
It ended with David sitting on the throne.
Oh, yeah, because that was consequential.
Yeah.
He sat in the chair. And even the way, I guess in their defense, after this giant waste of time, we finally got to see Saul and David talk for more than 20 seconds. 5 episodes in, and our 2 main actors that are supposed to be our rivals through this entire series finally have an interaction. It ain't much, but it's like 2 or 3 times what we've gotten so far. And it amounts to can't sleep. Me either. Want to sit in my chair? No. Good night. That's pretty much it. And then, even though David, refuses to, sit in the chair, and I do have a bone to pick theologically with it after this. But after Saul leaves, then David sits in the chair. And they're playing this dramatic music dun, 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 dun. He's sitting in the chair because he's going to be king. Get it? Get it?
It reminded me of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they were shamelessly copying Game of Thrones. Only the way they did it was stupid. So, it was really lame. But this was the other thing that annoyed me. Because if you've read the story of David, then you know that David actually cared for Saul and didn't really want to be king. He knew it was going to happen eventually, but the way him and Jonathan behaved, it was like Jonathan was basically going to give him the throne anyway. So there was none of this, because whenever Saul's asking him to sit in the chair, David is awfully cagey. He's like, oh, that chair's for the Lord's anointed, meaning I'm the anointed. Which is pride, by the way, which is something David wouldn't have at this juncture of the story. So, but he's being all petty and prideful right here at the beginning for no real good reason. And if you read the Bible, that's not David's character. David, wants Saul to be fine. He wants Jonathan to be fine. He actually loves the people in that household. David really cares for them in the story. But you do not get that. He is a petulant little brat in this series.
And something I'm wondering about is Jonathan and David were best buds.
Oh, yeah, they haven't said 2 words to each other yet.
They haven't said anything at all.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really, really weird. I don't know what they're going to do with that. It's kind of odd. But yeah, Jonathan and David should be tight way before David and the girlfriend get together. We need to be establishing the relationships that the audience actually wants. I have nothing against the girlfriend or Mikiel or whatever. But no, most people don't know about her. And those who do know about her know it's going to end terribly. So why would you invest any time in that story arc? Because people aren't going to care who she is if they don't know who it is. But people aren't going to care if they don't know the biblical character. But if they know the biblical character, then they know that relationship ends horribly. So why would they care? So why invest so much time?
I don't know. We got a new chatter in, though.
Oh, hello, Ken P.
Ken P, is it a Bible depiction or Tanakh depiction?
That I don't know. I do not know.
I haven't seen it.
I
so
would
don't
call it.
know.
I would call it a DEI depiction. That's kind of been my opinion so far. So.
That's funny.
So anyway, so yeah, this is a very, very. We're not off to a good start, but when I say start, I mean halfway point through the season. So, and of course, Trevor, I was wanting to keep my reactions perfectly organic and not watch ahead, but I did look at the episode titles to the very end. And I realized that, yes, the fight between David and Goliath happens at the end of the freaking season.
How many episodes?
8 episodes.
That's
And
not too bad.
that's horrible.
What?
It's horrible because
No.
we just sat through an entire dinner party for an hour and nothing happened. And then at the end of episode 5, all that buildup, all that drama, so David could sit in a chair, implying that he will be king someday. We are killing time.
Yeah, seems like a waste of an episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, for anybody that doesn't know the story, it's a good show. But
It's not though.
Well,
Like,
if
it's
it's not a good
literally
depiction of the
not.
story, then it's not.
That's the thing. It's not even a good depiction of a regular story, man. It's horrible tropes and the Hollywood checklist.
well,
And
yeah,
that's hurting. That's what's really hurting it.
well, that's what they're going on. They're going off of a, like I said, Game of Thrones type of thing.
Yeah, they really think they can pull off.
Trying.
Oh my
to
gosh,
go
you're
for
absolutely
that.
right. This is such a cheap cash grab. It
'Cause
just dawned on me. House
It's
of
like-
the Dragon, House of David. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
dadgummit.
And
Why
then-
did that just occur to me now?
Well, and in Game of Thrones, they had an entire episode about a wedding. It was called the Red Wedding.
Well, that would have been much more interesting
It was.
and more biblical if that had actually played out that way. But no, anyway. So this was the Bronze Age after all. But no, nobody
I've
dies.
got kind of a
You're the Bronze Age.
Well, sorry, Cody, go on. Thank you, by the way.
I've got kind of a strenuous opinion on the Chosen movie. I haven't seen it yet, so maybe it's a little. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But
Yeah, go
if
for
you
it.
want to talk about it at some point, we can.
I've been debating about reviewing The Chosen, but I'm trying. I don't know if I'm convinced that this is done very well. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
What's up, shifty-eyed shady?
Hey, what's up, man?
okay. Ken P says Red Wedding was some of the best TV I've ever watched. I knew it was coming, and I couldn't bring myself to do it till like 3 years after it happened. So, but it was good. It was a very good scene. Anyway, you're wanting to review The Chosen, Cody?
No, I just I saw on the movie on the trailer, it had it had Jesus like flipping the tables, and
Yeah.
it made him look angry, and I think it plays into the that churchian thing where they're like, it's righteous anger. It's not in the Bible anywhere, but people say it is. And
The flipping the
I
tables?
think
Yeah, it is. That's in the Bible.
show
He
me
makes-
righteous anger in
he
the
ma-
Bible.
Well, what Christ did to the priests. Like, he literally makes a whip and beats the snot out of these guys as he's flipping tables. Like,
Yeah, but I don't think
No,
it's
you have
like-
to think
it's-
about this is
it's
like
not
the
an anger
perfect
that we can
description of
achieve.
righteous anger. Think
No,
about
but
it.
listen.
Think about it. You take the time to sit down and weave a whip just so you can beat the crap out of the people at the temple.
Yeah.
That's
It's
mad.
like
That's mad.
It's like writing names on bullets.
There you go. Yeah.
But no, I'm afraid that them framing in that movie, I'm framing it in a way where like people are like, it's okay to be angry if you're like angry at tax collectors or whatever, for example. Like, it's still not okay for you to be angry. I'm afraid
I
people are
disagree.
going to
I
use
think
it
there
for
are
that
seasons
kind of
where it's appropriate to be
ammo.
angry. I think there are
Like
seasons where it's
righteous
appropriate
anger,
to be
like
angry.
Jesus did.
Yes, if it's
So they
anger
just-
for a good
No,
cause.
You
yes.
can't justify anger in your head.
Anger is not inherently bad, dude. Anger is not a sin. Anger is not a sin.
But does it bring good?
Yes. If you've got... Okay, if somebody murders somebody and you're mad at them and you kill them back so they don't kill anybody else, that's a good. Even if you were mad when you killed that person.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's good, man.
You're a darling little hippie and we love you. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe, for sure.
Your words. Anyway, so what's next? I guess we're done with this. So let's sign this off. This is the end of episode 1. We're done talking about David. We're going to look at episode 6. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to pull up the DEI checklist because that is a thing. And I feel like we do need to look at the checklist to compare it to the episode. Yeah. I think I need to do that. So I will try to get that done for next week. So okay. So we're going to go on to episode 2 here in just a second, but this is the end of episode 1. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
If you're on the live, though, stick around.
Yeah, if you're on the live stream, stick around. We're just doing that so I don't have to edit as much because I'm lazy. So,
Thank you.
Yeah. Cody, since this is your baby, the sun on the South Pole, you want to sign us in for the next one?
Alrighty. Welcome to the Faith, Fiction, and Folklore podcast, or the Tri-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Today we're talking about the southern sun, how it disproves the flat earth. And I think it's very interesting.
So have you flipped your position on the flat earth? Am I hearing that correctly?
I don't know, man. I'm just kind of watching right now, but this is definitely throws a lot of the foundation out from under me. So
yeah, are you having an existential crisis?
Not really.
Because I've had a lot of practice in being horribly wrong. I can help you. I
really
know what it's like to be
identify,
wrong.
Really tried to not identify with anything for a long time. So I haven't really identified as a flat earther, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
in a long time.
Gotcha.
But it definitely makes me think.
Yeah, it's a strange thing to identify as a flat earther, or
It's just like identifying as a Christian or identifying as anything else.
well, to think that flat Earth is a religion. That's kind of
Yeah, it
interesting.
kind of is. Yeah.
That's odd.
You could say that the globe Earth is a religion. I mean, I used to say that.
That the globe Earth is a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't worship it though. I'm like, okay.
Some people.
Yeah, but it's like you have to.
Like, is it
you
a?
have to
It's a
kind of
very
believe it.
apathetic religion.
Yeah.
It's like the default religion. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Right.
All right, so you've got a video for us, right? So let's see. YouTube has got its stupid censorious Wikipedia thing. Flat Earth is an archaic and scientifically disproven conception of the Earth's shape as a plane or a disc. Thank you, Google. All right.
That's your arcade.
So do we?
So this is Jared. He went to Antarctica.
Okay.
And it's kind of his.
So
It's
the
a little clip from a show.
Yeah, the video is The South Debunks Flat Earth from Jeranism. Jeranism.
Is he the one that took a whole group down there of flat earthers?
Well, he
And
was part of the
just-
group. Yeah.
Was he part of the group?
Okay. Well, let's see how this goes.
If the South is exactly the opposite of the North, we live on a sphere.
It's not too loud, is
Hang on, yeah, that is loud. Hang on.
Anybody
You're allowed.
should know that the Earth is a ball if the South is as described. Now, just because you've chosen not to accept that as evidence doesn't mean shit to me. If the South is exactly the opposite of the North, we live on a sphere. Wake up. Now, you might disagree with me and say, but Jaron, I don't agree that the South is as described. Then go look. It doesn't cost $35,000 for you to go to the tip of South America and observe what the sun's doing. Because guess what? When you see the sunset right to left, then you're like, wait, it's got to go to the right. Australia is over there. We know that the sun stays above the Tropic of Capricorn. Hello? It's going left. That means the Tropic of Capricorn goes left. Is there any model in the world that says that the Tropic of Capricorn does go left? Oh, the globe? Oh. What about the South Celestial Pole? Any model call for that? Oh, the globe says that? What about below it at the South Pole? Anybody, any model? Oh, the globe? Oh, man. What about accounting for sunrise, sunset? Oh, the globe? Okay. Wow, that's really weird then. What about the sun setting right to left in the south and left to right in the north? Oh, the globe says that? Shit. Well, I don't know then. I don't know. What about the equinox being on the oh, the globe says that? Shit. Okay, I'm out of fucking things to say now. I'm out of things to say. But we measure it flat. Oh, we don't? Oh, shit. Okay. But water lies level. Oh, you guys say that too? Oh, shit. But the earth is measured flat below our feet. Yep. No, you guys say that? Shit. So we have nothing. So the flat earth has nothing? Oh, we can't look in the sky to get the shape of the ground? All right, I'm going to stick to that. I just say that every day and we're fine? Fantastic. Fantastic. That's all we got to do. It's easy.
All right, so break this down for me. From what I understand, the thing that killed the flat earth theory was the idea that the sun stayed in the sky for 24 hours. Wasn't that what did it? Or it seems like he's talking about something else.
It would have to go away from you. The way I understand it is like if you're in the south, if the south is an ice wall, like you've seen it every flat earth map, then the sun would go away from you. Right?
Yeah, as it's like revolving around the disk in some configuration. Okay.
But in the south, it goes like you can see it go from right to left. Like,
okay, so it's not just that it's like going out of sight. You just kind of see it hovering in a circle.
It only goes away for like 2 hours.
It's like daytime all day.
Okay, so it only goes away. I thought it was a 24-hour sun, though. Wasn't that like the whole thing? If you could prove the 24-hour sun, no flat Earth? Or is that different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, like that's in South America. It only goes down for 2 hours.
Okay.
So it's a 22 hours.
So, but when you actually go to Antarctica, it's a 24-hour sun.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought when they went to Antarctica.
So like it can't.
Yeah.
Wait. If the sun's out for that long, why is it all ice and snow?
Tilt moves it away. You're not getting direct sunlight. So that's why it's always colder on the poles. So
you're colder on the poles.
You're colder on the poles.
Thank you.
I don't know what it means, but yeah. Okay.
I have like a hard time like picturing it in my head because you know what I mean?
No, I gotcha. It's an odd
I'd like
thing.
to go there, honestly.
We need to take it to the pool.
Well, it's less than $35,000.
I think it's only like $1,500 to go to South America.
$1,500.
34.
Yeah, it's just a long ass plane flight.
Well, it's cheaper than a trip to Ireland. So
we could do a podcast on the plane flight.
I don't think we're allowed to do that. All right, so let's go on here.
So do you have any thoughts?
I think that they're lying? I'm going to show you.
You have any thought?
Yeah.
I mean, not really. It's kind of what I figured. It's like, well, the Earth's round. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's making up good points. It's just, I mean, like I said, when we had the debates ourselves, I'm kind of like, no pun intended, but this doesn't affect my world either way. Like, if it's round, great. If it's flat, fine. I don't care. Like, it could be polka dotted. It could be like a piece of Swiss cheese, and planes are like flying under the crust and coming out over. I mean, it makes no difference to me. So,
I think the thing that messes with me because it's like there's no sun in the north, but there's 24-hour sun. Sorry, I don't know. But
no, I understand what you're saying.
Like you have to impart a second sun with the flat Earth.
Yeah,
like, you just have to, and so
that's a good point. Yeah,
I can't get behind that because it's like I think everything is allegorical. So like I think even the Bible's allegorical. for like a bigger story. Like it's a microcosm kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all the same story over and over again. So it's like God gave his only son. I think there's only one son.
Okay,
I think that's like a fact.
We really need to explore that theory in more detail. I understand what you're saying broadly. It's just anyway. Yeah, we'd be getting off topic if I started chasing that rabbit hole. But no, I understand. Yeah, that was the one thing when I was doing the preparation for this debate. Like when we debated, it was odd because you couldn't find, no matter how hard I looked, you couldn't find one model for the flat Earth. And the issue was the sun. Even before this Antarctica stuff, nobody could agree on how the sun moved in that model. Mm-hmm. You know, was it really far away from the disk? Was it within the disk? Did it do little concentric orbits kind of like, you know, within the disk itself? Or was it one giant orbit? You know, you had all these different models and nobody could agree on what things were supposed to look like. And yeah, and then there was no explanation for the heat displacement. Like you just had an ice wall, presumably because it's closer to space. But, you know, how you have different seasons on opposing ends of the planet, like that's related to the sun and the round Earth model. But in the flat Earth model, there was no explanation that I could find for why you would have winter in the north and summer in the south with a tiny sun. You know what I mean? Like that's orbiting, it's doing giant concentric orbits. Like, how would that work? There was no explanation for anything like that. And so that was the big thing for me. And it's not, I tried to find this stuff, and I kind of thought that there was a decent chance they'd have it because they had, a counter theory to gravity. I'm like, well, if they've got a counter theory to gravity, then surely they'd have some way to account for the seasons. I never found anything.
Electromagnetism was what I always argued.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how it went down in my head. It's been a while, but yeah, I just remember the big thing was no agreement on how the sun moved in the first place. And so if you were having issues with the sun's rotation before Antarctica, yeah, I'm sure afterwards it wouldn't be good. It'd kill it now. So what is the flat Earth community doing now? Like, how are they?
They're freaking out.
They're freaking out. This is like, it's over. It's game over, man. It's game over.
Everybody that Jaron's affiliated with has just started talking shit about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, that's not good.
Because he's just, that's why I'm still following him, because I think he's telling the truth.
Yeah. So he's the only one that's like legitimately changed his mind. Is that what you're saying?
Well, everybody else they've either he changed his mind, and everybody else started insulting each other because they're standing on their beliefs.
They're doubling down.
Yeah.
So he actually was willing to change his mind. Everybody else doubled down. Is what you're saying?
Right. Yeah.
That's respectable. Yeah. You have to admire that.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Let's see.
In this conversation here in a second, that I don't want to say it yet, but stay tuned. There is somebody lying in that group. I'll tell you that much. Nikki Louder says, "You've been lied to, Jaron. It's okay." Who's lying to me? What do you mean?
The sun. The sun is lying to you.
Flat Earthers? Okay, I agree. Thought you were talking about somebody else. I said if Jaron become a believer, I will get a new Bible. Guess what I got yesterday? Thanks, Jaron. Okay, makes no sense. Good for you. Somebody says here, I'm curious, is there any flat earther believes that are not religious? Well, I wasn't. You mean anybody who's not a theist? Probably not. Probably not. There will never be a flat earth model that works because the earth is not flat. Amen. That is correct. You can keep looking, but that's how I got to the point where I'm like, oh shit, there is no other map. There'll never be another map. It's impossible. Now, it baffles me that as a collective of people that think that they're smart, that they can't reach the conclusion that if the AE map is wrong, then the earth cannot be flat. It's not difficult. It just takes having one brain cell, basically. Couldn't do it. Is Jeranism still a flat earther? No. I want to get as far away from it as possible. Again, I thought that the Earth was flat. I thought there was evidence, and there still is evidence for it. That's what I also wanted to point out. I wish people would stop coming to me saying, well, what about all your other evidence? Why don't people understand that there can be evidence of things that doesn't lead you to the correct answer? Again, a murder scene. You show up and there's a bunch of pairs of shoes. It's all evidence. It's all evidence. But only one of those pairs of shoes belongs to the murderer. And if you follow some of the pairs of shoes, you're going to get nowhere. But guess what? One of those pairs gets you the right answer. The same thing is true for what we observe on the Earth. Yeah, it looks flat everywhere I look. Okay, check mark for flat. This water lies level. Oh, wait, the globe says it's level too? Well, that's not really a check mark for flat Earth, is it? So you start wondering, what are the check marks for flat Earth? That we don't feel like we're moving? Okay, I guess. I mean, in an airplane, do we feel like we're moving? Could you tell that you're in an airplane going 300 miles per hour or you're going in one going 600 miles per hour? Can't, can you? So you start thinking, okay, well, that's not really... So, yeah, I like the idea that it matches my senses better, but that's like somebody saying, well, I don't think there's bugs in my tummy because my senses say there's not. Who's right? The person who says there is bugs or the person who says there isn't? Okay? The people who say...
Yeah. So...
Well, props to him, man. I know after the whole Brandon Biggs thing, I especially know, it is not easy to eat crow. So, props to him, man. I admire him for admitting that.
Yeah, I still don't know where I stand, man. I'm just kind of watching. I'm not really getting behind anything, but.
Well, what are you looking for? Like, what would put you in one camp or the other? What would you define as compelling evidence?
I don't know. Like I said, I would like to go see it myself so I can better understand it.
Okay.
You know, solidify my worldview. I mean, like literally.
So you have to physically see the 24-hour sun. Then that would convince you.
Well, it's hard for me to picture it in my head because I have I see where I live is flat, and so trying to put that in my mind, it's hard for me to do. So I would like to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Seeing is believing.
But I don't know. I don't know if I want to be in a camp necessarily.
Well, I don't know if it, being right puts you in a camp. I mean, well, I think the thing that makes you in a camp is when you just start dunking on people. And being serious about it. We disagree on a bunch of stuff.
Which I used to do all the time.
Yeah. Well, we disagree on a bunch of stuff, but we still like each other. We'll give each other crap. But, but we still like each other. So we're not in a camp,
Yeah.
Like, we have our opinions and our beliefs, but that doesn't mean we're in a camp.
For sure.
So I don't think you need to worry about joining Club Round versus Club Flat, if you switch your opinion or whatever. So, I just don't think it's a concern. I usually am like, I have no idea what I am. I will tell you what I believe, and you can tell me what I am. That's kind of my attitude. So, I think you're good. I don't think you're in any danger of being a conformist. So, by a long shot.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't think I am.
You got a problem with conformists?
Yes, Trevor. Ba sheep. I'm joking.
Black sheep, have you any wool?
Oh, don't. No.
Yes,
we have
sir,
children.
yes, sir.
We hear that enough. Please, no. No. I just got her to quit listening. She's no longer listening to Baby Shark, and I realized, what was it?
Baby
Yesterday.
Shark.
No,
the day
stop
before.
it. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
Don't do that.
Don't. She played it again a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, I forgot how horrible it was. Thankfully she didn't start playing it again.
Shit gets in your head for years.
Burrows in there like a splinter.
Yeah.
She said.
Anyway, so, Trevor, do you have any thoughts? Flat Earth, round Earth. Almost said roundworm.
What do you think, pal?
What the nature of conformity? Are you a conformist?
What does that mean, conformist?
If I say jump off a cliff, you'll jump off a cliff because you really want me to like you.
You better hold on to the other end of the rope.
No way.
How nice of you to assume I would bring a rope. So,
I'll jump, but you gotta have a way for me to get back up.
Okay. So, yes, basically blindly following what somebody says without looking into it in any way yourself. That's...
Missing context.
Yes, in some instances you're missing context. But I think it's most of the time just laziness, defaulting to institutions. That's really...
That's true.
Yeah. What makes you, like, a conformist is just assuming the experts know and then not wanting to look into stuff.
Which is probably the attitude that got me into flat Earth.
Yeah.
Like, no, I will not conform to your belief. And then I conform to a belief.
There you go. It's like just an infinite regress of being a hypocrite. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So
My
That's why I'm trying not to identify with anything.
my thoughts are, God made Earth. If He made it flat, great. If He made it round, great. Let's just keep going.
yeah, that's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm like. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I just don't care. I'm like, if the round Earth works, fine. And if the flat worked, like I guess I'm more interested in utility because I figure utility is probably the best way to measure truth anyway. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. And so if something is functionally true, then you're probably on the right track.
Sure.
You know, so
Truth will set you free.
it's not a very exact measurement, but it's a pretty good reason to build. It's a pretty good basis for an inductive argument, like a probabilistic argument, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my approach to stuff. So if the round Earth model works better in terms of its functionality and predictions, then you use it because it's useful for other things. That's why evolution is stupid, because it is not useful. Like, you have to assume stupid things that throw you off the path in terms of science. For example, junk DNA. We didn't study DNA for years and years and years because the basic presupposition behind evolution was that the majority of your DNA was going to be useless because it was basically dropped gene codes from the unwritten past. That turned out not to be true. Your DNA works a lot like a computer, and it's got backup processes on top of the main processes that are controlling protein folds and functions in the cell. But it took us forever and a day to find that because people wanted to, cling on to evolution and assume that basically most of the stuff within us has no purpose. Same thing with the tonsils and the appendix. People assumed your tonsils were vestigial, so they cut them out. Turns out that's tied to your immune system. Weird. And then the appendix, same thing. They cut it out because they assumed it was a vestigial. Turns out you need it for your immune system, for your digestion. Weird. Like, all these things people assume are vestigial end up having purposes. It just takes science sometimes a little bit of time to find the purpose of it. But if you've got a functional presupposition that says there must be useless parts on you, you will never see the function. Another great example of this, in the ID movement, there's this guy named Stuart Burgess. And this is fascinating. But he talks about the little tiny bones in the ankle joint. I don't know, there's like 5 to 7 bones in there. And, some evolutionist was like, this is proof of evolution. These bones serve no purpose. It's like, no, they work like a Roman arch. They provide support so that you can roll your ankle and do different things with it. Like each one of those teeny tiny little bones actually has a function because God is an engineer. And that's why the clockmaker, the version of God, the natural theology, that's why that's so valuable, because of its predictive capabilities. You can predict that everything in the body, or at least 99.9% of it, is going to have a use. And that prompts you to keep looking. But if you're an evolutionist and you assume everything is, the majority of you is just basically vestigial, you're not going to look for function when you can't see it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who don't know what vestigial means, what does that mean?
Useless. Dead. Like a withered fruit that's just dangling off a tree.
I feel like that sometimes.
my entire existence is vestigial.
I'm a vestigial of society.
I'm vestigilar.
Perform a tonsillectomy and rid me from the gene pool. So
I have one of those.
You had one of those. You had your tonsils removed. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Hey,
Oh,
along with my adenoids.
that's okay. They took out my appendix. I am not a full man, so.
Yeah.
And then they messed up my anesthesia, amount, and I wound up almost dying on the operating table. That's a whole other story. But yeah.
Doctors are criminals, man. A third of the deaths in America are from medical malpractice.
Yeah. The problem
Wow.
is they're
No, I didn't know it
taught-
was that
they're-
high. Yeah.
They're taught to do that.
Yeah. They're idiots.
We're going to have another episode on the vaccine stuff because more and more stuff is coming out, and it's just,
Oh, is it?
yeah, it's just a nightmare. Like, it was,
Yeah.
because it's like they hid behind stupidity, and it was all on purpose. Like, it's money.
Mhm.
They wanted to sell that shot, and so they, denied people good, effective medications and everything else. It's
They want
horrid.
those heavy metals in you.
They want them dollar bills. So, all right. Well, so
Well,
Cody's having an existential crisis on the flat Earth. We will keep you posted as his journey towards becoming a conformist continues.
Indeed.
But with all that said, this is the end of episode 2. In a few seconds, we'll be moving on to episode 3. But for now, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
see you.
Later.
All right. So, gentlemen, which one do you want to do next? Do you want to argue about the Pope, or do you want to talk about the Marines and opium?
The Pope's
Let's do
Marines.
little
and opium.
Charlie.
You want
Oh,
to do a little
you wanna
Charlie?
do the
Okay.
opium?
You,
It don't matter.
it don't matter.
We can do both at the same time.
both
both
at the same time.
Let's go.
Okay.
We're talented.
All right. Well, Trevor, do you want to lead us in?
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, where we're the Triumph podcast where we try not to F it up. And today we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk and Michael Knowles. They were having a discussion a few months ago, and Charlie Kirk asks Michael Knowles about the Pope, and it's hilarious. So we're gonna react to this. And
All
today
right.
we got Gary and Cody with me. How you guys doing?
I'm
Hey,
good.
bud.
Hey, what's up? I'm feeling better. We're 2 episodes into this, and I'm starting to get some life in me.
Heck
Like,
yeah!
I've got color in my face that isn't coming from the round light. At least I
you know
think.
who would put more life in you?
Meth.
A good dad joke.
No
No,
dad
don't
jokes,
do
Trevor.
drugs.
Come on.
Don't do drugs. Okay. Yeah, no drugs nor dad jokes. Let's talk about the Pope. Really, this episode could be titled "Why We're Not Catholics," any of us. So
Oh no.
we'll see
Yeah,
how this
sure.
goes. But for the record, I like Michael Knowles a lot. I like Michael
I
Knowles
like-
quite a bit.
I like
Catholic my balls.
I like both these guys, but this is really funny.
Michael, yeah, I just want to preface that. Michael Knowles is probably the only guy from the Daily Wire that I'm a big fan of. So anyway, I hope he lands on his feet if the Daily Wire is really going bankrupt. But anyway, let's play this.
If you are all in on, the papacy and the Vatican, no practicing Catholic can look and say, this is the best that my religion has to offer.
No, Charlie,
Well-
you're thinking too much about it. You got to have the Italian.
Huh?
We only are gonna do like 15 minutes.
Okay, sweet.
The first 15 minutes.
Why should I care at all what that guy from Argentina has to say?
Well, because you care what your pastor has to say.
Yes, but if my pastor starts saying crazy things, I find a new pastor. So if your pope starts saying crazy things,
Yeah, there you go.
maybe he's not the pope. And maybe that's a bad representation.
You mean like I got hairy legs?
Question.
Hey, listen,
Biden's the Pope?
He's our pope.
Oh,
He's
no.
our special boy. Our
boy.
special boy. Well, he was. Not anymore.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's gone now.
let's go, Brandon.
So my question to you, because you're such an inspiration to Catholicism, Mr. Knowles, what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to spread the love of the Eucharist to the world?
Okay, well, that's wonderful that you're going to do that. I think it's great. Most of the time people say, Michael, I want to start a podcast. What's your advice? And my advice is don't, because too many people have them, and I think every white man under the age of
Too late.
75 has one now, and it's by law or something. So, but this is the first time in memory that someone has proposed some new content project where I've thought, great, you should do that. That's really good. And my advice is you should recite the St. Thomas Aquinas prayer that he would have before study or writing or speaking for God to illumine his darkened mind. And then what you should do is, pray a little bit more. Praying is the first resort, not the last resort. And then, this is something, Charlie, that we mackerel snappers, we get. We don't need to reinvent the wheel every year. We got 2,000 years of people who are much smarter than you and I, who have thought this out, who have debated these questions. So if you just bring them.
Were they, though? Have you read some of the things these guys said? I mean, I understand it was a different place and time, but some of those church fathers.
Catholics?
Yeah. Well, the church fathers.
Oh.
Like from that era, But anyway, we'll move. We don't need to go into detail there. I just would challenge the idea that these guys were paragons of virtue we should follow.
Yeah, if you convey that, I'm trying to sell Charlie on this right now. I know I'm answering you, but I'm really speaking to Charlie. If you just do that, that's all you're doing. You're just telling the story. You're telling the greatest story ever told, and you have the deposit of faith, and you have the magisterium behind you as a hermeneutic of interpretation. But just do that, and do that in sincerity, and do that with the best.
That is such a wordy way to say, just believe what the Catholic Church tells you. Did you catch that? Yeah. You have the magisterium to serve as your hermeneutic of interpretation. Ooh, that's a lot of syllables to say. Just accept what the Catholics think.
you know how I say Jordan Peterson is like he's talking but he's not saying anything. That's the same thing.
That was a very wordy way to say conform. It was like, just accept it, sheep. Oh no, I'm sorry. Magisterium, hermeneutics, exegesis, interpretation.
Big words.
Big words, lots of syllables.
Of your effort, and I think it'll be wonderful.
As an evangelical who loves Catholics, I love that you're doing it. But let me just edit what you say.
Here's the but.
No, it's a big one. You didn't catch it, Michael. Yeah. Is that your goal should be to bring people to Jesus, not Catholicism?
No, hold on.
No.
What's the
Amen.
And what's the? I don't think.
What's the?
Hold on.
He kind of dunked on him there,
saying
huh?
that they're
He did. That was a pretty harsh little burn. He's like, well, it's on now.
But your goal should not to be to bring people to a specific sect of Christianity. It is to bring people to the cross.
You're saying to bring people to the fullness of the truth and the universal faith.
Yes, but not the maxims of every Catholic dogma. No, I mean, for example, am I a Christian if I don't believe in Mary?
Isn't that, like, okay, this is one thing that kind of floors me about, I don't know if this is exclusive to Catholics or not, but does it, like, ever bother some of these guys that are in these, like, older churches you've got to explore the fullness of, you've got to bring people to the fullness of the truth. Like, that kind of ambiguous rhetoric where it kind of sounds like you're saying Christ because Christ is the truth. But what you mean is every blasted thing the Catholic Church has said for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Like, do they not think that that's like lying? Like, if I did that, I would be like, dude, I'm a freaking liar. You know, if I kind of played those kinds of word games, knowing that I'm saying something to kind of make it sound one way when I mean it in another way. Like, I actually was watching a debate last night on Standing for Truth, and they were arguing with Catholics there, too, and they were arguing about the definition of the word believe. And the guy that was defending the free grace position made a good point. He was like, look, don't you think it's weird that Christ would use the word believe, which literally just means persuasion, to be persuaded, to be convinced in the Greek? You know, it has like pistos or something like that. It's a simple word that has a very common meaning. Don't you think it would be dishonest for Christ to use the word believe when what he actually meant was this entire expansive doctrine that was later discovered by the Catholic Church. Like, if you're supposed to approach Christ like a child, wouldn't it be dishonest to use a word like believe when everybody thinks you mean persuasion, but you really mean this giant, all-encompassing set of doctrines? Don't you think that's lying? I thought that was a wonderful point.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I thought that was a good point. I'm like, yeah, that's lying. Like, why? Are you sure you're on the right side here? Because this seems like some pretty sleazy semantics.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Catholics are all about their semantics.
Yeah, you got to watch it. I like Michael Knowles, but even we're like 2 minutes in and we're getting like a lot of weird hyperbole. I'm like, that doesn't mean what you want it to sound like. So,
it gets better.
yeah.
Theology?
Well, we're talking about the fullness of the truth. You know, we're talking
okay.
about. But you still.
Am I a Christian if I don't believe
Points to Charlie for catching that right away.
in transubstantiation?
You are a little confused if you don't.
Okay.
But you
confused.
can have sincere. But you can have sincere.
No, it's fine. I think that bringing people to Catholicism is fine. Of course, great, terrific. But that is hopefully a means to the ultimate end. You exist to bring to people to
Yes. No, of
Christ.
Of course. And
No,
you know, but
that is the goal. I'm just maybe being semantically,
But think about this question: if what happens when you want to bring people to our Lord, and what happens when there are disagreements over important things? I mean, not
we schism and say you guys got it wrong, or we do a reformation.
But so we're at Christmas right now. We're at Christmas time. We're talking about Saint Nicholas. Santa Claus.
I'm talking about Jesus.
And no, but I'm talking about Santa Claus. Before we talk about our Lord, there's this story.
These characters like Jesus. Let's focus on the main thing.
But there's this story about Saint Nicholas, who the legend. I don't think it's literally true, but the legend goes that Saint Nicholas, who Santa Claus is based on, shows up to the Council of Nicaea, and he smacks the heresiarch Arius, who denied the divinity of Christ, smacks him in the face. And this has led to a meme that I really like at Christmas, which is an icon of Saint Nicholas, and it says, "I've come here to give presents to children and to punch heretics in the face, and I'm all out of presents." And so I don't think it really happened, and it would have been a corrective slap and all the rest. But the serious question is,
That's an example of righteous anger, Cody.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Yeah.
what happens when someone has a question on something really important, like is Christ God? The divinity of Christ.
Yes.
There has to be an interpretive hermeneutic to figure it out.
Of course, yeah, and
Yeah.
to be very clear,
'Cause it doesn't make sense.
9 out of 10 of Catholic dogmas evangelicals hold. 9 out of 10.
Are you wanting to have that? We will have that debate. If you want to have that debate right here and now, we'll have it again.
No, I'm just here for commentary.
Oh,
Gary.
you're just here for snarky remarks to the
Yeah,
sides.
just to poke the
All right,
bear.
Just to poke the bear. It's been poked. It's been poked. This tired bear has been poked. No, this is an interesting point. I'll rewind back here a couple steps. First of all, you're wrong. It does make sense. You just don't want to admit it. Second of all, the big argument that the Catholics use, and this is something Michael alluded to, is that the Protestants schism and divide all the time over everything. I'm not so convinced that that's a bad thing necessarily. If you read Paul and Romans, he doesn't say people aren't going to disagree, but he does comment on how people should disagree. So maybe the issue isn't that we disagree. Maybe the issue is that we always want to split a million different ways to every time we disagree. Maybe we should learn to agree to disagree on certain things. That'd be Romans 14. What Michael is basically alluding to with that argument about Protestants being divided all the time is that therefore we should have one authoritative source that tells us what things mean, which obviously I think is nonsense. What are you two's thoughts?
An authoritative source like a church?
Yeah, like a church. A magisterium
You
to
don't
give
need
you
that.
a hermeneutic for interpretation.
Yeah. You go to the temple to pray. The temple.
Which means
Get
empty
it?
your mind. I got
The
it.
temple in your head
No, subtle.
next to your eye.
There's that train again,
Yeah.
roaring on by.
Just letting it marinate a little bit.
Yeah, just marinate into subtlety. So
Just always be in prayer, and you'll never have to go anywhere.
all
Well,
right.
that's not true. You have to go work.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, like, take your prayer with you to work.
Oh, yeah.
It's really easy to do when you quiet your mind and call that prayer.
Don't meditate on your desk, though.
Don't meditate on the assembly line. It's a good way to lose a finger. So, all right. Anyway, moving on.
Right? And that is why I believe Catholics are Christian, even though you don't give me that same sort of charity.
The truth is, behind closed doors, the P word
look, an ad.
became my secret sin at age 10.
Ooh,
And
P
for
word.
the
Do
next
you guys
7
watch porn?
I would.
No, I'm giving you a hard time.
Charlie Kirk is
Every time I
absolutely
get a chance.
Whoa.
This is the guy that's his channel.
That's why this is an hour. I thought this was only a 15-minute clip when I
Yeah.
watched it long, like weeks and weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah, you can just skip his.
Okay, that makes sense.
Are
Where's
you
the
saying
original?
we're behind? We're behind the curve? What?
Yeah, because
this
we
is
don't do
like-
research and properly prepare, as one of those angry commenters said. If we did a modicum of
right.
preparation.
You're right.
Oh, well. All right, let's see here.
Yeah, right
Okay.
there.
Being a representation of Christ our Lord. I mean that as someone who loves the Catholic impact on the world, that says it openly, and by the fruit you will know it, and you have very Marxist fruit.
But what? I guess my sort of last question on
Is it your last question,
evangelization is
No, evangelism or evangelization?
but both.
Okay.
What happens when we get the next pope? Can we pull you over then? You know, what if we get like
Who decided that?
Pope
Well,
Leo
I will
the
say,
15th or
John Paul II was amazing. I just think that
that noise?
there is a question to be asked of why is that?
Am I crazy, or is there somebody talking in the background of that thing?
There is.
Yeah, I thought I was going a little... I thought I was, hearing things from the other side for a minute. But
Yeah, no, I thought it was like one of you guys' wives or something.
yeah, well, I thought it was one of you guys' wives. So anyway, so he's asking about the Pope. This is what we were trying to get to. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
That specific process, that mechanism, given more merit than, let's just say, the local church and or the Word of God. And you'd say, okay, interpretation, you know,
the final resolution to
fine.
difficult questions?
That's fine. I ask the question, if you are all in on, you know, the papacy and the Vatican, no practicing Catholic can look and say, this is the best that my religion has to offer.
No, Charlie, you're thinking too much about it. You got to have the Italian spirit. Now,
There's
the
somebody
Italian
talking
spirit
back
is
there, dude. It's
when you know
Yeah,
someone
I can
asks.
hear.
What?
It's like it's creepy.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about that anime where Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins, where Meliodas is like, it helps if you don't think about it. Sorry, I was just thinking about Michael Knowles' response. Helps if you don't think about it, guys. Just let them do the hermeneutics for you. It's fine.
Yep. That's what I've been saying.
Well, then you're destined to become a conformist, Cody. You should go to the
Huh?
Catholic
No, I'm
Church,
saying the-
and then
I'm
let
saying
them
the
do your
hermeneutics.
let that magisterium hermeneutic.
I'm saying y'all and your apologetics and
hermeneutical
hermeneutics are
eyes.
ridiculous.
I'm just thinking, why would Herman be nude?
I feel like that's all Paul does is hermeneutics.
Can I relish
I
the
don't even-
thought of a nude Herman? I just want to appreciate that joke for a moment. A moment of silence for the horrible visions that flash through my mind. So
Yikes.
yeah. All right. So you're mad about hermeneutics. You think hermeneutics shouldn't be a thing?
Cody doesn't get mad.
I mean, I get mad.
Well, it's okay if it's a righteous anger. So
Yeah.
I got your righteous anger.
All right.
Yeah. I
So
like.
you don't
So I
think
feel like
hermeneutics should be a thing?
Paul. That's all he did is hermeneutics. It's
Okay,
like,
no, forget Paul for a second. Just answer. Do you think hermeneutics should or shouldn't be a thing? Yes or no? Why or why not?
I think they're irritating.
Define
Well, they
hermit.
can be, but should they exist?
I don't think so.
Okay, so you don't think there should be any interpretations of the Bible? You do realize you've adopted a methodological interpretation of the Bible. You have re-entered your infinite regress of hypocrisy, sir.
Perfect. Yeah,
So-
I don't.
Okay, so now that we've pointed that out, okay, Paul does hermeneutics, and
I don't like it. I think it's like he's like, look, this guy said this, but he really meant this. That's where it's like I actually like when I read the Gospels, I get it. Like Jesus's words make sense.
yeah,
Like
but
taking
everything you've
autonomy.
said about it has been wrong.
What do you mean?
Well,
it hasn't.
you go on and on about the kingdom of heaven and being some sort of internal
Yeah.
thing and all this. And I'm like, there's nothing about that that's right. So
It says
you
you. Have
obviously
you tried
need
it?
some kind of, okay, well, look, what if you're some poor soul watching this show and you need to decide whether me, the semi-traditional Protestant or Anabaptist, however you want to categorize that, and
I
you,
don't. That's what I'm saying.
whatever
Categories
you are,
stupid.
whatever category you choose not to define yourself as. If he's trying to figure out which one of us is right, how does he do it without
Yeah,
resorting to hermeneutics?
Who? What?
The poor hypothetical soul, like let's say Trevor.
Oh, okay.
Let's say Trevor actually considered your ideas for a minute
I
and
do
wasn't on
consider
my
his
team.
ideas.
I'm being petty. I'm sorry. So
I'm on both your teams.
let's say Trevor was the third party, and Trevor needs to decide between you or me on a given idea.
Okay.
How
Not
does
gonna
he
happen.
do that without resorting to hermeneutics?
I could go with etymology.
Why do you have to take a side?
Because you believe in truth, right? Like there's a right answer and a wrong answer. One of us is wrong about a particular thing, and one of us is right, or at least not as wrong as the other guy.
Okay.
So
certain men.
how does Trevor, in his desire for truth, get closer to the truth without a methodology for discovering that truth?
Pray.
But you just said you have to empty your mind. So how is he supposed to get an answer from for the prayer?
Right. It just comes to you. Shower thoughts.
But you block it out because you've emptied your mind.
No, you're not blocking anything. You're sitting with everything.
You're sitting with everything.
Yeah. You have to. It's a
So
whole
you sit-
process, man. I've been
I
trying
have
to tell you.
no idea what you're talking about, though.
You like so whenever you quiet your mind, you get all these like intrusive thoughts that come up. It's because you've been suppressing them. So you have to like sit with them and then
What if
let
those
them
intrusive
pass.
thoughts aren't you? What if
That's
they're
what I've-
external? Actually, I heard
Yeah.
an interesting idea on this. Intrusive thoughts are like the inverse of a fear. Like if you are really scared that you're not humble, you'll have prideful thoughts because it's something negative playing into a fear.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the source of a lot of intrusive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why I'm afraid all the time?
Yes. And you're a chicken. But,
God.
bagok.
Gobble gobble.
So, no.
So yeah, you have to sit with them and let them
What
pass.
does that mean? Sit with them. What does that mean? You've got to. Okay, what you're saying, this is the visual I'm constructing. I'm constructing.
deal with
I
your-
am constructing you.
suppressed
I am
shit.
constructing you naked in the shower. Unfortunately.
Yikes.
Yeah.
What the?
I know it hurts. And you're like a little
Dude.
kid filing through cabinets.
Hey, gay.
You're filing through all your thoughts one at a time. I don't know what you're doing with the files, but it's like you're organizing to clear your mind. You have to like take your thoughts, look at them, and then set them to the side. Although I don't even know what that means. Like that nomenclature doesn't even make sense in my own head. I'm just trying to construct some way that you're constructing this.
Okay.
So you say you have to sit with your thoughts. So you're sitting in the shower with your thoughts. They're saying, hey, Cody, Gary's gay, and all this other stuff. So, what do you do? What does the process of sitting with your thoughts look like?
Oh, look, an
I don't know. I guess I would look at it like a pH scale. So like, you got -7 to negative or to +7. So once you sort your way through those negative thoughts, you start to get on the upscale and you get downloads.
So is the goal to like try to get rid of the negative thoughts? Is that what you mean by sort, or are you just saying accept them as negative and like embrace them? Okay. So can you give me an object example? Like let's take the thought Gary is gay. You have this thought in the shower while you are meditating. What do you do with the said thought? Like step by step. Don't tell me sit
Laugh.
with it, because I don't know what that means. Okay, so you laugh. You laugh at the thought Gary is gay. Great. So step 2, you've laughed. Who cares? Well, okay. I would care. I would care a great deal. But anyway, that'd be very difficult for my marriage. But anyway, moving on. So you've got the thought. You've laughed at the thought. Now what?
There's not an intention.
Okay, so it's just an intrusive thought. Okay.
Well, it's not intrusive. It's an understanding. We've been through this. You know the difference.
No, I don't. I'm stupid.
Oh, yes.
There's an understanding that I'm gay. Okay, so
no. that would be a thought that you just let pass.
Okay, so you're gonna like reject the thought, because when you say that, I'm thinking Gary's gay. No, that's not true, and it wouldn't matter even if it was, or something like that.
Right.
And then you let the thought go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the same as quiet in your mind, or at least not how I would define quiet in your mind, but okay. We're on some kind of understanding here. All right. Okay. So, how does that pertain to Trevor? Like, how does that process of sifting, accepting and let's use the term accepting and rejecting intrusive thoughts or the thoughts inside of him, how does that help Trevor discover which one of us is right and wrong?
Neither.
Trevor to discover us. I would say each thought about each side of the binary, he should just let it pass. See it and let it pass. So, like,
define each side of the binary. So, like, by binary, you mean like my position versus your position?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, there is no spoon.
Yeah, because
Right.
it just kind of
It's
sounds
exactly
like
that.
it. Well, that just sounds like nihilism. That just sounds like reject all of it.
It's not rejection, though. It's acceptance.
So you're just accepting nihilism.
No.
Define nihilism.
Nihilism means nothing matters. There is no truth. Nothing exists ultimately.
But there is only truth.
Yeah, well, as Christians, we believe there is an objective truth. Nihilism would reject that claim. Nihilism would claim there is no truth, and that nothing
Maybe
matters.
that's why Christ is important, because Christ gives your thoughts to the Father.
So you should give that thought of Gary being gay in the shower to God.
Yeah.
And say, God, that's hilarious. I don't want it.
No, it's not God. But
Right?
Okay, so we're not giving it to God then.
no. But sorry, what did Trevor say?
The intrusive thought of,
Yeah. It doesn't come from God.
No, it doesn't. But you
Okay.
give it to God so he can take it out of your mind, and
Yeah.
that's clear in your mind.
Yeah.
So,
And then you have room for, God stuff.
yeah.
It just
So-
sounds like you're saying process your thoughts, your chaotic thoughts, so you can focus on a task.
You don't have suppressed thoughts?
Well, I'm not disagreeing with the idea of processing your thoughts. I'm not saying it as a way to challenge you. I'm just trying to... You're using nomenclature, but it doesn't... I don't think... how do I put this? It's like Vincini. These words don't mean what you think they mean. So I'm trying to figure out what you really mean. That's what's going on. So
I'm just retarded.
No, you're not retarded. It's just I think you've listened to a bunch of people like Will Donahue who are morons and have given you really bad nomenclature. So you know what you're talking about, but people who haven't watched Will Donahue don't know what you're talking about. So
I need to listen to people that do hermeneutics so I can have
yes,
better
so
words.
you actually have a standard of nomenclature so people can know what you're saying. Anyway.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying, Cody, is that you need to take the time to process your kind of coherent thoughts, be them external, internal, whatever, the like chaos of the day, let's say. You need to process all of that, filter it out, deal with it, and then once you've kind of got yourself calmed down and kind of dealt with all the chaos, the chaotic thoughts, then you can focus on like whatever question is at hand. That's what I think you're saying. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, we've gotten rid of all the chaos. All right? First of all, I should point out that this is a methodology and that's technically a hermeneutic in a very broad sense. It's still a hermeneutic. So, welcome to the infinite regress, sucker. But anyway, regardless. So we've got step 1. We've dealt with all the chaos. Step 2 is now we've got to focus on the question. Is Gary right or is Cody right? So now that we're here at step 2, how does he tell which one of us is right or wrong? How does he evaluate? Right. How does he evaluate the claims?
You're both right.
Let's say it's a script.
I mean, what if wouldn't there be go ahead.
Well, I don't want to confuse you, so I need to try to come up with a more specific example because I want to be clear, but it's hard to do this simply if you're talking about like hermeneutics. So,
baby,
I'm trying to think of
how do we know?
Let's try to pick a specific biblical issue.
I don't know. I guess like the other day I was saying. Just take every situation as it comes. So I don't want to pick a side necessarily. So it's just like each piece of information I get, it's like, is it applicable to my life or not?
But Trevor wants to pick a side. So how does he do that?
To see what, like things that we say, are they applicable to his life?
Okay. All right. So he would need to look at the functionality of the idea.
Yeah. Will the things that are said improve his life?
Okay. So let's take an example. Let's say
the parable of the prodigal son.
Let's say we're having an argument on the definition of the kingdom of heaven. I say that is a specific term related to the Jewish prophecy that the Jews understood. You're saying it's some kind of internal state of being. How does Trevor choose between the two of us if he cannot use hermeneutics to decipher which one of us is right or wrong?
If it was me, I would start with trying to find the kingdom of heaven inside of you.
But that presupposes your position. How does somebody on the outside decide?
You have to try to apply it to your life.
Okay.
So like Trevor would say, well, I can't see if heaven when I die is real because I can't just die. So I'm going to try to find the kingdom of heaven at hand right now.
Okay, I think I understand.
See if it applies to your life.
So your argument would be to try your tactic and measure the truth of the claim by how effective the tactic is.
What?
Well, you're saying when you say try to find the kingdom of heaven within you,
right?
That would be a tactic, a practical application. You would say to apply it directly. Okay, great. So I would say Trevor needs to actually look at the historical context in the Bible and the other books of the Bible to try to ascertain the correct definition of the term.
But how does it improve your life if you know if floaty space kingdom of heaven is
Well,
real.
let me push back on you on this idea, though, of the practical application. How do you know when you found the kingdom of heaven?
Inside of you.
Well, I guess you just know. Jesus said, "Go and tell no one."
Isn't
right?
that a bit of a Rorschach test? Like I look at an ink block and see the CIA everywhere. It's a joke, but you know the idea is that it's
I got you.
subjective. Like, wouldn't you be subjectively defining your own version of the kingdom of God under that practical application? In which case, there is no actual kingdom of God. There's just contentment.
How do you know Jesus wasn't talking about contentment?
Well, again, I would appeal to the historical context of the terms that Christ uses in the Bible. We have 1,500 years of Jewish culture, so we can look at the nomenclature and the ideas in the Old Testament, and we can apply those as a backdrop to Christ's words and get a fairly accurate idea of what he was saying based on, their culture and their place and time, and the information provided to us about that through the Scriptures.
I just would. When Jesus said, "I'll be coming back soon," or the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Yes.
Like that was 2,000 years ago. What do you mean? Like it had to mean something else.
Well, it had to mean something, but we got to figure out what it is. I'm saying since...
Right, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Yes, but you have to define the kingdom of heaven, and then you have to define at hand.
You don't have to define it. You have to find it.
You have to define the terms so you can get an objective meaning. What I'm saying is if you are trying to find the correct objective meaning of a definition, you have to look for context clues. The kingdom of heaven is a specific phrase. It has a particular definition. It has a specific meaning for that culture and that place and time. And the best that we can do is look at the other books that are closer to that time and try to ascertain how that culture would have understood that phrase. That gives us a more likely answer to what Christ meant. Now, I understand what you're saying, that you need to practice the concept of finding the kingdom of God and see how effective it is in your life. I'm saying that sounds good, but that is a very subjective criterion, because what's going to end up happening is everybody is going to just end up looking for contentment or happiness. And
is that bad?
Yes, because chasing happiness for its own sake is a perpetually moving goalpost.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's contentment, like true contentment with God.
Okay, so are we talking about contentment, or are we talking about happiness, and what's the difference between the two in your mind?
Well, worldly happiness is what Gary's talking about. Godly happiness is joy.
It's balance.
So you're saying
Contentment
happiness is balance. Okay, contentment is balance, meaning like you're not feeling anything too much to an extreme?
Yes.
Is there a distinction between balanced and numb?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's the distinction?
In our lives?
Yes, I'm just trying to understand your worldview. So what's the
well,
distinction between balanced and numbed?
We're desensitized. I mean, it's addiction. It's everything. We're desensitized to. So most TV shows now, they're just totally full of porn, right? Like Netflix shows, like documentaries, they've all got porn in them. Like Walmart has these chicks in underwear, these huge pictures up on the deal, and everybody's just like, this is fine. Everybody's desensitized.
It depends on how broad or narrow you want to define porn, but okay. There's sex is being used to sell. Gotcha.
Yeah, but everybody's like numb to it. I mean, ED is a huge problem. It's because of porn. I'm just
yeah. Okay.
But we're gonna get knocked off. I keep saying the P word.
Yeah, you gotta say the P word. You gotta copy the ad that I've heard
Porn.
50,000 times, YouTube. If I wanted the program, I would have bought it the first 10 times. But anyway.
anyway, so you know how, like I say, I don't like listening to music, right?
Yeah.
Because it messes with my nerves. It throws me off. Like I want to stay balanced,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's a drug almost. Like you just get used to being stimulated by that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's music, alcohol, soda pop, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is.
Cheese
Drugs,
sticks.
Mm-hmm.
right? Cheese sticks. The kingdom of heaven is balance, and it's like society's job is to throw us off.
Okay. So I'm still having a hard time understanding. What does balance mean emotionally? What does a balanced
I mean,
person
I would equate
look
it
like emotionally?
balance. I would well. That's what happens. Is like you balance yourself, and the Father comes through you.
Okay,
Like
sure,
I can
but
name a
what does
couple
that
of people that
mean?
I've met in my life like that. But,
Okay, well, give me a person you've met that's like that in your life. Like, how would you describe them? How would you describe a
like
balanced person?
like a ray of sunshine.
Okay, practically, what do they do? How do they speak? How do they move? What
They're
words do they
grateful.
choose?
They're extremely grateful, encouraging,
Okay,
They always seem to
just
be
positive people.
so positive.
Yeah, because it's not it's the Father's light shining through them
So balanced means
because they're balanced.
so balanced means positive. Balanced doesn't mean neutral. Balanced means positive.
Well, you should try to be neutral because the Father's light will come through you.
Okay, so you want to be an empty vessel in the hopes that God will shine through you.
Yes.
You want to be neutral so that God's positivity
This
will
is
shine
the same
through you.
idea with thoughts.
Okay. I think I understand. But let me ask you a question. Does it have to be positivity in every case? Do you have to be apathetic to everything all the time or neutral to everything all the time?
That's what I practice.
Okay, so what if somebody commits a crime? A particularly egregious thing. Are you supposed to be neutral to that?
To you?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to avoid a specific crime because I'm not trying to be pedantic or
Christ
snarky.
always
But
said
say
to turn the other
somebody
cheek.
say somebody hurts a kid. I mean, aren't you? I would think that you would want to be
should
mad
protect
about
children.
that. Yeah,
Should protect the children, yeah.
yeah. So you couldn't be neutral in that case, right?
I would just say not to get emotionally involved. You have to protect people.
But don't you need a
But
certain
there's-
degree of emotional investment in order to want justice?
I don't know.
I would
guess I'd have to be
say
in the
I would
situation.
say you'd have to. I would say that you'd have to have a certain degree of indignation and anger at the idea of somebody hurting a kid, and that would have to be felt in the society at large in order for an action to be taken against that behavior. It would have to resonate on an emotional level, and in that sense, you couldn't be positive. You would have to be negative. You would have to embrace a certain degree of anger in order to promote a societal good, which is getting rid of the guy who hurt the kid.
No, because I think just the understand like the father, like I said, the Father's understanding will come through you if you remain neutral. And there is
Okay,
a
but don't you
difference.
think
Like,
God
you can
would get mad
experience
at
it when
like
you
a kid being
do it.
hurt? Without his purview, if somebody comes in and like destroys that kid's life when God had a completely different plan for him, don't you think that'd make him mad?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're neutral, that anger would shine through you too, then, wouldn't it?
Right.
Which
is what
arguably then
happened
you
to
would feel
Jesus.
it, right?
That's the only situation I can say personally that I know of.
Uh-huh.
It's when Jesus flipped the tables.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say that Christ felt that anger. That anger may have come from the Almighty, but Christ felt it.
Yeah. But I don't think we can experience that, honestly.
Why not?
Because we're not. Because we have opinions. We're biased. And it's really hard to drop that. So, like I'm saying, like Jesus was the progenitor of being neutral. Like, you know what I mean?
Not. I think what you're saying is when you are at peace, that is to say calm, then you gain a proper perspective on morality and different subjects. So I'm basically hearing from you, stay calm and don't react.
Yeah, sure.
Which I would agree with. It's just you're using very different language to say that, which is throwing me off, I think.
Well, I'm an idiot. So
No, you're not an idiot. You're just listening to different people. So, okay. Now, I would argue that this would be my approach when it comes to the happiness question. I want to circle back and complete that thought. I would say that the absolute worst flippin' thing in the world you could do is chase happiness or even contentment.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's a perpetually moving goalpost. Because, you're never going to be happy with basically the pursuit of happiness prevents gratitude. You're never going to be content with what you have. You're always going to be pursuing the next thing. And that process never ends. It's the pursuit of novelty.
Which is why I say don't pray for anything.
Well, that doesn't mean you don't have to pray for anything. It's just why you're praying becomes very important. But to challenge that, to get rid of that notion, I would argue that you need to appeal to objective morality. You need to understand that basically morality is God's instruction manual for how we're designed to be. And so, you should stay married to your wife, for example, and, reject divorce and all of that. Because if you persevere through the pain in that moment and if you come out the other side and you're willing to endure that hardship for a season and you forget the idea of pursuing happiness, because if you're operating under the idea of pursuing happiness and you and your wife are going through a hard time, then guess what's going to end up popping in your brain? Well, I need to divorce my wife in order to be happy. When really God wants you to push through the bad season because you've made a moral commitment. And then once you get on the other side of that bad season, then congratulations, you will realize contentment. You will realize happiness because you've been consistent in the way that you're operating consistently in the way with the way that you are designed. You're not designed to go hopping from partner to partner. So, you're going to be unhappy if you do that. But if you persist through the temporary unhappiness, as it were, and you neglect the concept of chasing contentment or happiness, and you just focus on doing the right thing, you will wake up one day and realize that you are happy. That would be my argument.
I woke up this morning with no power and electricity, and I realized how happy I was to have electricity.
Oh yeah, not having hot water makes you really grateful for hot water.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jess has a few comments. Let's read those really quick, and then let's talk about the Pope. So,
hey, Jess.
Which is fantastic because my darling wife was Catholic when I met her. So anyway, passion is a tool that can be used for good or evil. Even Jesus had righteous anger when he saw people defiling his house. The people who have made the most advancements in medicine, science, education, whatever, had to be passionate in order to push through the challenges to achieve their goals.
Jesus didn't have
There you
a house,
go.
though.
Passion also creates perseverance. That's another thing to bear in mind.
I mean, personally, I think medicine, science, and education are all a mess. But
Well, they are all a mess, but we're better off than we were 3,000 years ago. Unless you want to be bled by leeches. Thankfully at least that's not still a thing.
Hey, that actually worked, though.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it. Who said it worked?
It took away fever.
It took away fever? Yeah, because there's no blood running through their body. And they're cold because their heart's shutting down.
you did.
Yeah, the fever goes away when you die. That's a good point. So, okay. All right, let's see here. We're talking about the Pope. Have we even got to that yet? I hope it's close.
We were about to play it.
All right.
I think it was almost.
Say in this newspaper, the Pope said something where you say, well, maybe the Papa was misinterpreted. It's no big deal. Forget about it. You're too Anglo to understand that.
Too Anglo.
Attitude.
So I have to just hope.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's great. So that's called denial in English, but that was still really funny.
He doesn't mean that, homosexuality is bad. Okay, we should
No,
just...
he said God can't bless sin. I know, sometimes it's
hold on,
confusing.
no. I'm not going to give you that one. He's been way more open on that topic. Or the climate change thing. And
climate change.
And all this sort of stuff. We just have to kind of hope that he's saying that we want him to say.
You just kind of, it's like my grandmother sometimes. When when one of her grandchildren says something that she doesn't like, she kind of turns down the hearing aid a little bit. And so sometimes, if you turn down the hearing aid on certain issues.
And I mean this like non-sarcastically, but like, why should I care at all what that guy from Argentina has to say?
Well, because you care what your pastor has to say.
Yes, but if my pastor starts saying crazy things, I find a new pastor. So if your Pope starts saying crazy things, maybe he's not the Pope. And maybe that's a bad representation.
Well, I guess if your pastor says crazy things, you go to a new pastor, and then you have division in the church. It used to be, in the old days, if the pastors disagreed, they'd go to an elder or a bishop or someone, right?
Unless the bishop is corrupted, and
then you take it up higher, yeah.
And then maybe the Pope is corrupted, and we write 95 points of complaints and hammer them to a door and get back to the word.
Well, the issue is that one of the marks of the church is unity.
That's a Martin Luther
so
joke.
You can't have constant schism, and so I'm not disagreeing about difficulties in the prelature at all. But there's a line from Hilaire Belloc, and he says he has to take it on faith that the Catholic Church is really what it says it is. But for those who don't believe that, one mark of its divine institution is that no other institution conducted with such knavish imbecility would have lasted a fortnight. And I think there's actually a lot of truth to that. That when one points to the corruption of individuals or bad popes or whatever, there've been plenty of them, that actually that's kind of an evidence.
That's probably the strongest Catholic I've ever heard. That's the strongest argument I've ever heard from a Catholic ever. Did you guys catch that?
What did he say?
No.
He said, only a divine institution could have conducted itself with such imbecility and still have lasted 1,400 years. That's amazing. That's really funny. Imbecility means stupidity.
Sounds like some of that Jordan Peterson shit, Gary.
No, it means only God could preserve this institution because it is so retarded.
Oh.
That's what that meant. That was really funny.
Huh.
I thought that was a great line, personally, but okay.
You're a great line.
Because so many...
Huh?
I don't get into the church stuff.
Well, anyway, I appreciated it. That was a good line.
Other ecclesial communities, they appear and then you leave this pastor.
Yeah, I think that's fine, I guess. I mean, I think that if you have the Bible as any sort of semblance of a bedrock, you're gonna last.
But who canonizes the Bible?
Well, who canonized it? Where
do we get it from? Our Lord didn't leave us a Bible. He left us a church. And the church codified the Bible.
Sort of true. I mean, I think our Lord...
I am so tired of this argument. I hear this argument all the blasted time.
Yeah.
It's so lame.
Charlie Kirk has a good return.
He has a good comeback? Okay, let's hear it, and then I'll give mine if he doesn't say what I'm already going to say.
I wouldn't call it a comeback.
Well, there is a comeback. If he doesn't give one, I'm going to give one. But anyway.
As part of Godship, God is the author of all 66 books,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
And we had...
Wait, you slipped that in. Hey, come on, you can't do that to me. Hold on.
No, this is interesting, though. Why is it that Catholics acknowledge divine
Illuminati
books that
confirmed,
Jews
by the
themselves
way.
don't think are divine?
Yeah.
Illuminati confirmed. What?
Yeah. 66 books.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, that went over. Okay. Anyway.
The keepers of the Torah.
That's silly, but I know. I'm gonna just stay focused on the Pope right now.
Man, the other day my kid, he was at school, and there was a 33 on his paperwork there, and
oh no. He freaked
And
out.
He pointed to it and showed his teacher, and he was like, "Check it out, Illuminati confirmed."
It's like, no, kid, that's a grade, and you need to study.
Or I don't even agree with your canon.
It's
Like the Wisdom of Ben Sirah, First and Second Maccabees, according to rabbinical teaching, those are not divinely inspired books. Yet Catholics say we like those. Why?
Yeah, well, so there are a few reasons. One, that the Douay Rheims, which is the Catholic Bible, is based on the Septuagint. The Masoretic texts, which come later, are the ones that the Protestant Bible.
Hey, look, an ad.
Sometimes things. And the more recent Catholic Bibles are based on, and there is some discrepancy, at least in numbering of certain things. But also, I mean, you say, well, if rabbinical Jews think one thing, why don't you think that? And I'd say, I don't know, because we're a different religion.
No, but hold on a second.
Charlie Kirk is making a strong case here, and frankly...
Okay.
Frankly,
I have thoughts. So, I think we've talked about this a million times. Obviously, there was no anthology called the Bible, like, at 90 AD, and nobody makes that claim. Those letters were in circulation for forever and a day, and there was a consensus that formed about which letters were divinely inspired over time, and then finally the Nicene Council came together and agreed on which books were divinely inspired and all that. But the church, the organic laity, let's say, the invisible church, you might say, like, the Holy Spirit basically guided the selection of the books of the Bible through time and providence, which is why I was interested in, the Greek Orthodox's interpretation of, how they got the scriptures and stuff, and I wanted to poke Jeremiah's brain on that. But, because we do believe that the Holy Spirit actually selected those books over time. But anyway, the church was just finalizing, like the church, the governing body, was basically finalizing what the laity had already agreed to, like 100 years, whenever the Nicene Council came into being, I don't know, like 200 years prior, something like that. So, I know I'm getting that date wrong. I'm going to get crap for it, but whatever. So, I think the Nicene Councils, what did that start? It was like 300 AD, something like that. So, anyway. So, I get tired of that response. The books were selected long before the church ever got involved. That's the bottom line.
He's asking the exact questions that have led millions of people away from the Catholic Church. Questions claim they're divinely inspired.
But we're the inheritors of the Torah as referenced by people that were schooled in that. So the Tanakh. So the Protestantism has an identical mirrored image of the Torah and the Tanakh. And they, again, in traditional rabbinical teaching, they do not believe those books are divinely inspired. Anyway, I know the answer, and you're not going to like it, but that's fine. It's because in those books, it allows for a lot of the practices of the Catholic Church and gives justification for a lot of that stuff. However, I don't want to get too deep in this. I actually think the world is a better place because of faithful Catholics. I've spoken out with great criticism of how evangelicals remained quiet here in Arizona on Prop 139, while the Catholic diocese was so courageous on the fight for life, while evangelicals were silent.
Okay, is he going to keep talking about the Pope, or are we done with the Pope and we're moving on to other stuff?
they're moving on to other stuff.
All right, well, let's have a brief conversation about the Pope and wrap this episode up. So, thoughts on the Pope?
He wears a fish hat and he's satanic.
There you go. Trevor.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. I don't like him. But again, I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of having a pope, but my main issue is the idea that the church can save. Because what that basically boils down to is that you need a pope to be saved. Yeah. You need people to obtain salvation, which is my big complaint. Because who has to give out the sacrament? Who has to give out that Eucharist? Priests. And the priests get their authority from the Pope. It's
It's all about the Pope instead of about Jesus.
Yeah. It's a usurpation or an attempted usurpation of Christ's authority. That's my complaint with it.
So they can funnel the money through the church.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not exactly unique to the Catholic Church. Most institutions are all about... There's always actors trying to do some form of embezzlement. But Anyway, so that was a very long episode, and we talked about the Pope for like maybe 5 minutes. So I don't know how this episode's going to do.
Oh, well.
But that's all right.
Whoops.
So, yeah, it's okay.
We'll move on.
That's okay. All right. Cody, you want to lead us out?
I would
this
if I
episode?
remembered what to say.
We're not leaving. We got one more episode left.
Thank you for watching.
So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Do that.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
There you go.
Guys.
Yeah, hit the inflection. You got it all right. Okay,
Next time.
on to the last subject. The Marines guarding the opium. So who wants to lead us into that?
I guess I will.
Go for it.
Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or the Tri-F podcast,
Actually, I'm
where we
sorry.
try not to
I'm sorry.
F the
I'm going to stop you.
podcast.
I'm sorry.
that was
I'm
perfect,
tired of editing. I'm tired of moving my lower thirds all the time because I keep forgetting to switch the screens right. So I'm switching the screen. Take 2. Lead us in again.
Welcome to the Faith, Fiction, and Folklore podcast, where... Oh, man, I already did it. See? You didn't get me last time. I screwed this one up.
Take 3. Try again.
Welcome to the Faith, Fiction, and Folklore podcast, or the Tri-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up like I've done 6 times tonight.
Well, we're only counting
today-
3. So
Today we're talking about an old Geraldo Rivero clip from the news, and it's about what really happened in Afghanistan.
Is it from fake news?
I don't
yeah,
think so.
back when the fake news ruled the world. Hey, so what this is basically about is, you remember when I said the moment Trump labeled the cartel a terrorist organization, he should have bombed Langley? This is why. So,
Yeah, this is crazy, dude.
all right, so let's get into it.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. Dave Briggs, he's Clayton Moore, she's Allison Camerata. We're going to head to Afghanistan this morning. One of the biggest obstacles in front of the U.S. troops there in Afghanistan is the opium trade. The Taliban is using it to intimidate the population.
Joining us from Helmand Province is Geraldo Rivera. Good morning to you, Geraldo. Tell us what you've seen during your days there in Afghanistan.
Hi, Allison, Dave, and Clayton. Yes, in some ways, the Marines' brilliantly executed invasion of Marja, this town in the middle of Helmand Province, was the easy part. The hard part now is governing this province, a province, as you suggest, that has become addicted to opium in many, many ways. That is the principal crop that is being grown here. The Taliban lend the farmers the money. They are indebted to the Taliban. They have to grow the opium. Now the Marines, in their success, are in a sense a victim of their success, because now the population is, they have these opium fields, and we are tolerating it. We are tolerating the cultivation of the opium because we know that if we were to destroy it now, the population would turn again.
Oh, no. We have no choice. We've got to grow the opium for America.
We just have to.
This is a beautiful clip, Cody.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, you can already tell right at the beginning. The soldiers, brilliantly. It's like somebody wrote this, like right out of the blue. Like, it just brilliantly. It's like, man, you guys, it just is infuriating because at the time, before the internet, you didn't catch all this. But ever since the internet, like, you look back at this stuff, it's like listening to a laugh track. It just kind of makes you grit your teeth a little bit. You're like, oh, they wrote the whole thing. Yeah. Oh, it was all canned. It's all a marketing pitch. Good night.
It's crazy, dude. The thing that got me... let's keep watching the video. I'll save it for later.
All right. Okay, but we're tolerating the opium for the good of America.
Yeah.
All right.
The Marines, and it would be a real security risk. Let me introduce Lieutenant Colonel Brian Christmas. He's the commanding officer of the 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines. Really a wonderful group of Marines here. I know that you care deeply about this contradiction, the fact that here you have one of the best fighting forces in the world ever mounted, and in a sense, you're watching as this opium is being grown. I know it grinds at your gut. How do you deal with it? What are you doing about it?
Well, frankly, this is a part of their culture. So while it might grind in my gut, it's what they do. We provide them.
But bear in mind, I'm sorry, I want to point this out. Bear in mind, USAID provided millions, if not billions of dollars for a tranny play. However, they couldn't possibly provide enough funding to replace these people's opium crops. No, of course not. They couldn't burn the field and just give these people money. That wouldn't teach self-reliance. So, yeah, we have to, keep the opium so that they can maintain their work ethic or something.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's their culture.
It's the culture. Yeah, it's their culture.
It's the culture.
Well, I think they were more along the lines of saying that it's not just their culture, it's their whole economy, basically. They're making all their living over there off of these fields.
Yeah.
So if you just burn it down, you're basically burning down their entire economy all at once. And so you have to.
But like they've ever cared about that before.
Yeah, like they've ever cared. They've already destroyed all the infrastructure there in the Russian and Mujahideen. I can't believe I'm forgetting that.
Somalia?
The pre-Taliban group, the Mujahideen or something like that.
Oh, yeah. They don't give a
feel
shit.
like an idiot for mispronouncing that, but anyway, doesn't matter. We've already destroyed their infrastructure once already. No, what I was saying though with the whole tranny play thing is these people who are writing plays for transgender people 40 years later, 20 years later, couldn't be bothered to just burn the plants and give these people money, compensate for the opium. Because if you destroyed that, the Taliban doesn't have the ability to continue funding its campaign. So who are they selling the opium to? To the Taliban. And what is the Taliban doing with that opium? Buying weapons. In other words, this is why that war lasted 20 years, because the whole stupid thing was an embezzlement racket, because they would sit there, fight the Taliban, then let the farmers grow the opium that would continue to fund and support the Taliban.
Yeah.
It would have been cheaper to burn the field down and just give them money. That way you could starve the Taliban out. But they didn't want to do that. Why? Because
I don't really feel like it's that. I mean, I feel like it's all just a big economy. They did it in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. But this was how the politicians were getting their money. It's an embezzlement racket. You keep the war going for 20 years, and then you siphon off some of that money for aid, and you give it back to the politicians. So these guys would make billions of dollars. They would just make a killing, keeping this war drawn out. And the evidence of that is the fact that they wouldn't starve out the Taliban, because that's what you do during war. War is a game of resources. And so why in the world would you let these people continue to grow the cash crop that's funding your opposition,
because
culture
that's the
or not?
only opium. That was the only place to get opium in the world.
So
the pharmaceutical companies were getting it from the same place
well, if that's the case,
the cartels were.
If that's the case, then they still could have packed up the opium and sent it to the United States.
I will be right back.
No, it had to grow in that specific spot.
No,
it's what they've always done. It was the only place in the world. I don't know why. There might be something behind that.
That's not the only place in the world where opium grows. It's not.
Back then, that was where 99% of the market came from. Is that one spot?
Yes, but listen to what the argument that they said. They said this is their culture, meaning that they sell that stuff to the Taliban, and that's how their economy works. So we're going to continue letting them do it. That crop was not going to the pharmaceutical companies. It was going back to the Taliban.
Well, parts of it, yeah.
I would say the vast majority of it.
I don't know. I feel like it's the pharmaceutical companies that are pushing the wars.
They might be. Well, I don't know if it's the pharmaceutical companies. Like, they're profiting. I think it's basically the EU, NATO, the British bankers, Rothschilds,
we also install a central
Rockefellers,
bank every
senators,
country we invade.
Well, there you go. That's like a central bank. Yeah, so it's basically that same group out of Europe that's been propagating this stuff for 40 years.
I guess you could say it's setting up infrastructure for drug trade.
Yeah,
in the country.
Yeah, the CIA became drug runners. They basically conquered these fields and started shipping the drugs in time. But in this video, they're selling it back to the freaking Al Qaeda.
Right.
You know? So it's
they're doing both things.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it's just disgusting but it's their culture. You have to. It's a
dumbass excuse, isn't it?
And I would have fallen for it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen through this. I was all for this 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, you didn't know how bad the opium epidemic was going to be.
Yeah, well, I thought we were the good guys. And, you make excuses for people when you think you're the good guy.
We are the good guys.
And so I would have seen this at the time. I would have seen this and thought nothing about it.
Yep.
And embarrassingly.
Security, we're providing them resources, and we're providing them alternatives. And the alternatives are different crops to grow. They're getting the seed and the fertilizer to do it. They can rotate any of their crops.
But that never happened. They kept growing the opium throughout the entire duration of the war.
They're still growing.
Not a corn stalk was seen.
Not a corn stalk was seen. There you go.
That they want. If they want to get rid of their wheat and grow cotton for the winter, they can do that, and we're going to help them do it. So the same thing goes for the poppy.
So you think that, we were at the market, and everywhere we go, they're selling these little devices. Take a shot at this, Greg. They're hand-carved. These are the little devices they use to scrape the opium sap off the plant. And I watched as you bought every one that was for sale because you care so deeply. Why did you do that?
I want them off the street. The idea is that we don't want to harvest the poppy. We want to, hopefully turn the poppy over and put some wheat, cotton, watermelon, cucumber. It's all great stuff they grow out here. We just want to see that come to fruition and the poppy just to go away.
How do you separate the good guys from the bad guys? I watched that.
Did you notice that poor soldier was spending his own money to do that because he's caught up in this thing?
Probably.
So, but it's like, they use him to kind of be like the poster child, like all the soldiers think this way. Don't know that.
Yeah.
So, you looked like you had a thought a second ago, Cody.
I was just thinking he bought them all to use.
Oh, you
bought soldiers.
Gotcha. You're much more cynical than you're being hopeful. I'm the one being the cynic. I'm like, he's probably the only guy that even did that. So.
Yeah.
Oh, well. All right, here we go.
Checkpoint you had. The cars are out on the road. That's the good news. The bazaars are coming back to life. That's the good news. But I don't know, how in the world do you tell a Taliban from a guy who just lives in the neighborhood?
You don't. They do. And I'll tell you, the majority of those people are good people. The ones that are bad are really bad, and they've convinced some of the good people to be bad. You can follow that. Bottom line is most of them are on the fence, and it's just a matter of showing them the good, showing them the fact that the Giro government is here. It's going to make a difference, that we're here to help them with that security and those resources, but they're the ones that are going to make the difference. So there are a few bad people. The majority of them are good.
But I fault the politicians for putting the Marines in this position, where we can't eradicate these crops for security reasons, and these guys, after winning the war, in a sense, now have to fight this fight. But next year, hopefully, it'll be better. I just want to quickly pan around, see some of the 3rd Battalion 6th Marines. There's the Master Gunnery Sergeant. There's the top ranked enlisted man. Next to him is Captain Black. He had a visit. Quick, who visited you a couple of weeks ago?
Prince Charles came down a couple of weeks ago.
And the Brits like him? I mean, you guys like him?
Yeah, it's good that he came out, saw the guys, went out to the mobs and engaged with the guys. That was good. Good morale.
So we had a visit from Prince Charles, and the Marines are doing the good thing. Dave, Clayton, and Allison, back to you guys in New York.
Thank you so much,
Geraldo. Thanks so much. I mean, he just explains it better than we can ever read.
Yeah, he explained it all right.
To me, the Taliban is like our version of the Mexican cartel.
Yeah, I could see that.
So we got in kind of a turf war with them and tried to kick them off their crops, and those are the bad people that he's referring to. It's the people that are trying to take their jobs back.
They could have bought it and destroyed it and starved the army out, and they didn't.
Yeah, but then the pharmaceutical companies wouldn't have made a whole bunch of money.
Oh no. Oh, no Oxycontin or whatever they use.
On crippling their population with painkiller addiction.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've done the addictions counseling stuff. I can't remember if Oxycontin's a downer or an opiate or not.
It's an opiate.
Yeah. So they would have used that or some derivative of that then.
Oxycodone.
Yeah, oxycodone, Oxycontin, Lortabs, all that shit is opiates. And
if it starts with oxy, it's an opium.
Yeah. Well, that was horrible and depressing.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. So.
Dang you, Geraldo.
Well, it would be fascinating to go back and look at some of these clips 20 years later, and just see what was being said, and what
Yeah, it's just hindsight's 20/20, eh?
It makes sense. How did it take 20 years to beat those guys? We were funding them and keeping the war going, so we could siphon off money and drugs to different things.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just awful. It's horrible.
I always think about that movie Lord of War with your cousin there.
I am not related to Nicolas Cage. It's very flattering because he is a very attractive man, but I am not related to Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, sounds like you are, buddy.
I have been compared to Steve Carell, Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, Steve Carell's a heavy hitter for you, for sure.
I've heard that more than once. So never any of the A-list guys that were on the magazines. Just the character actors, let's say. Although,
Say hi, Quilla.
That's all right. Oh, you got a cat. So, you look like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. So that should make you feel good.
Thanks.
You feel like you should be going, all right, all right, all right.
All right.
You'd be a lot cooler if you did. So.
Yeah.
And I don't know who Trevor looks like.
Your mom.
You're like that you look like that wise sage, like Gandalf before he found himself.
Ouch.
Gandalf.
Frodo, no.
I was thinking worm tongue.
Worm tongue. Oh, man. So, okay, I have no idea how much time we spent on that. I don't know if it was close enough to call it an episode or not.
9:23. Yeah, 20 minutes. People like short shit.
9:23, 20 minutes. Yeah, it's just I got to get it on Buzzsprouts, so need like at least 23 minutes. But that's okay. So let's
we can nomenclature for a few more minutes.
Nomenclature.
Nomenclature?
Well, that was going to be part 4.
Is that a verb?
Experiment. Nomenclature. No, it's a noun. It's like your word selection. Yeah, I know. That wasn't right.
I could dad joke for another 5 minutes.
Oh gosh.
Oh no, don't do that. We don't want to
good
lose
one.
all
All
our
right,
viewers.
let's try to stay on topic. Let's try and stay on topic because the CIA's been the core through line in all this. So we can talk about this for another 10 minutes. We can do this. So, all right. So with the Afghanistan war over, they moved to Ukraine. I don't know of any heavy drugs being shipped in Ukraine. So what, other than just like destroying the whole world and the current order and kicking off nuclear Armageddon, what do you think the CIA is really trying to do with Ukraine? What do you think they really want? Do you think they're just trying to antagonize the Russians into dropping a nuke? Or do you think that they...
Well, I don't think nukes are real, but I don't know what they're doing with their end goal with Russia. But it seems like so far it's just been a big embezzling racket.
Yeah. I have a scary theory about Germany and what Europe's doing anyway.
More than that. Go ahead.
I think they're implementing step 2 of their replacement migration scheme. They shipped all the immigrants up there for the last 10 years or so. Now they got to kill everybody off because you'll notice they're wanting to make women join the draft in some of these European countries. So what are they going to do? They're going to ship all the white people to that meat grinder, kill them off, and then that way the immigrants become the bulk of the population, and those guys think it'll be easier to control. I think it's quite. This is the replacement part of the replacement migration scheme. That's kind of. I'm starting to suspect that.
I like that.
Yeah, it's dark and terrible, and all that good stuff. But anyway,
we do live in the darkness.
I hope that's about to change because I'm getting kind of sick of it.
Is Zelensky? Are we friends with him? I don't know what happened with that whole meeting. I think they got mad at each other, right?
Yeah, they got mad at each other. He keeps saying he'll sign and then he won't because he's got personally, this is just my opinion. I think he kind of wants to, but NATO won't let him because NATO's the one that's really the power behind this war. If the second he signs a deal, they're going to kill his butt because he's no longer useful. He's there to manage the decline of Ukraine. He's there to be the petty dictator that they can blame for it all blowing up.
Yeah.
But as far as he's concerned, imagine he just wants to breathe until it blows up. And if he signs a deal, they might not let him.
Yeah.
That's speculative, but I think he's in a spot where his job is to string everybody along. Tell Trump, act like you're cagey with Trump. Say, oh, yes, I'll do that. Oh, no, I won't do that. And he's just going to go for as long as he can get away with it. And I don't know what Trump can do about it. I mean, I'd hate to say this because, I had a friend in college from Ukraine. I'm, kind of sympathetic with the Ukrainians. But at this point, I'm like, why don't you just let the Russians have it? If I were Trump and this would take everybody off and make so many people so mad, I would join the Russians and then just have them take Ukraine quickly and just be done with it.
Yeah,
that would just that would upset the apple cart. I don't
see why anybody would. Get mad.
I don't like him, but he's like a regular bad guy compared to one of these Machiavellians. There's different kinds of villains in this plot. You've got basically Xi Jinping and Putin and these kind of gangster dictator types that still love their country. They want their country to be the best. They're competitive. They're willing to cheat, lie, and steal, and do all manner of evil things to make sure that happens. But that's what you would expect from your run-of-the-mill dictator, And so you've got that bunch. They're not good guys, but you've got them compared to a bunch of pedophiles in Europe. So who do you prefer to follow?
At least they're men,
Yeah. Unless they identify otherwise. So.
Well, I mean, I'm saying Putin's he's a man.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So, but the thing is, that group out of Europe, in my opinion, they're part of that old eugenics cult. They've adopted this Malthusian thing where you have to decrease the world's population and all this and that, and you have to manage a decline because the Industrial Revolution made us too big or some such thing. But they're adopting the ideas of Thomas Malthus and really Hitler and all those guys, which makes sense. Soros was a Nazi. Schwab's dad was a Nazi. These guys had this ideology that you had to basically wipe out a huge chunk of the world because of evolutionary doctrine and Thomas Malthus. I mean, it's the same crowd who has the same ideas from the turn of the 20th century. And you're fighting this extinctionist cult on the one hand, and you're fighting average dictatorial gangsters on the other. So it's there really aren't good guys here. It kind of sucks all the way around. And America has been so desensitized to degeneracy that when Putin goes, you shouldn't let trannies run your society, we're like, that man is a reformer. He's the next Martin Luther. It's no, it's called having a baseline of morality, you saps.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll gut you if you cross him, but he doesn't believe in trannies. So there's that. So this is
I like it.
These are our choices. And they all suck. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like Trump, for as good as a negotiator as he is, he doesn't realize that killing people is the point. As far as Europe is concerned.
Yeah.
NATO and Zelensky, the murder is the point. And if they can get a nuclear bomb to drop, so much the better. I'm not sure that's necessarily it. I do think it's a replacement phase for their populations, so they can, because they've got to outrun the populist movement, because the populists figured them out. You know, all these guys that like, we want Germany to be Germany again. We want Britain to be Britain. We want Italy to be Italy. You know, like everybody's like, we want our countries to be sovereign and we want to have national pride again. And so everybody's like, you know, basically creating coalitions around this nationalist idea. They got to beat that. There's only one way to beat that. They got to beat that by killing people, but they got to look like they're not the ones killing people. So let Putin do it.
I.e. vaccines.
Vaccines was one, vaccines was one tactic, and now we're moving on to Russia as another tactic. But they're just going to kill as many people as they can.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So, okay. That was a horribly dark conversation, but it killed 10 minutes, so I think we're done with this episode. Who wants to sign us off?
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode of our podcast, where we try not to F it up, and we will see you on the next one.
Okay. So this is the last one. Now, Trevor wanted to do something kind of experimental for the last thing of the evening. He wanted to basically kind of have our post-show conversations only post-show, or like only during the show. And
Just
so
leave it running.
Just leave it running
basically.
and talk about whatever we wanted for about 30 minutes or so.
Okay.
And I have no idea how we're going to market this, but it's content. And if somebody wants to watch it, bless you. So, so who wants to sign us in for this fifth experimental installment?
I will.
All right, go for it.
Welcome to the Faith, Fiction, and Folklore podcast, or the Try F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up, which has been done on several occasions tonight. And this is the end of our live stream. So we're going to spend about 30 minutes bantering about whatever comes to the table.
Yeah, we'll probably title this one Random Talk 2, because the first episode of Random Talk did so well. But we're going to talk about whatever we want. We have no idea where this is going to go. Yeah. Remember when we first started the podcast, we had an episode called Random Talk, Trevor. And I don't even remember what we talked about because it was so random. And it was 6 months ago. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. So, Random Talk, right. First of all.
You're first of all.
Cody, did you have a close encounter with a tornado? Did I hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did. Yeah, so.
What
happened? Well, not much to me. It came down about 2 blocks, three blocks, we'll say 3 blocks away from my house, and took out it went down the street and took out, fences as it was going, took out some trees, several other things, took a few roofs off.
Did you actually get to see it, though?
No.
No?
No, there was, it took a roof off about 2 blocks away from me. My trampoline went into the neighbor's yard. That was the only thing that happened. I was making coffee. It was 6:30 in the morning. It was all good.
Wow.
It just got windy outside.
It's got really windy.
Me and Jess were in a tornado in Oklahoma a few years back.
Yeah. I mean, it jumped right over us. We don't have a single shingle missing.
Oh, that's...
Wow.
I'm glad you guys are all right. I'm glad you didn't lose your house.
Yeah.
That would not be good. No, when we were renting in, what was it? East Tulsa, I think. It's kind of up by ORU. I was going to college at the time. They didn't even call it a tornado. They called it a spin up. And it was, I didn't see it. I did see the wall cloud spinning, but I didn't see the tornado itself. We got inside before it actually hit. But, dude, it was... What was crazy to me is when that thing hit, it was like the air pressure changed and like you felt it in your body and stuff. And so, of course I grabbed, when it was very apparent that it was going to hit, You know, I don't even. I think I don't even remember how I knew it was coming. That was kind of the weird thing. Like, the cliche would say I heard a roar. I don't specifically remember hearing a roar, but it was like everything shifted suddenly. I don't know if it got quiet or what it did, but I grabbed Jess, went into the bathroom. Of course, I had like elf swords and like toy swords in that bathroom because I'm an idiot. But then, you know, then the tornado blew through the apartment complex, and thankfully it was very, very weak by the time it got to us, because all it did was it blew out a couple windows, and it like dented our door with the shingles. So like it took out some shingles from the apartment complex and just like chucked them on the door. And the next day, like, you know, this steel door is pretty, you know, heavy metal thing. It had like dents in it, and a dent or two in it and stuff. And that was really it. But it literally like went right through the townhouse, about 2 townhouses down from us. So it like just missed us. And then, but it was a weird one because it got really strong. Like it completely took out the roof of a church, knocked down a bunch of trees. I think it damaged a store. But by the time it got to us, it was already almost over. So it was like just, you know, not even, it didn't even travel 3/4 of a mile, if that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of how this was, man. I mean, there's a couple spots where it just reached down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. The Lord was laying his hand on us for sure.
Mm-hmm. I want to go tornado chasing someday. I've tried to go with Jess in the past. She did not appreciate
your elf sword, and so you can cut its tail off.
There we go. That would have worked great.
Let's just hope we don't get stuck in it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm going with you.
You're going with me?
I'm going with you.
I will say the air, whenever it was, I think it was right over us, but the air was like bath water. That's how my wife described it.
Mm-hmm. Real muggy.
It was just like, thick and just warm. Mm-hmm. Super interesting to be in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hate where we live because they always hit at night or like when you're in bed or like they never hit in the middle of the afternoon when you could see them. So
no doubt.
So yeah. So that's our tornado stories.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it was crazy because my feed all week has been tornado this, tornado that, and I was just like, hey, Cody. I thought Cody had a story on it. He got to see one, but that's what my wife
I didn't get.
My wife said you guys stood on the back porch and watched it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to ask him about that.
Oh no, there was no. We didn't get to see it. It was dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning. Was there another one where you live? Like the day before, middle of the day? No.
I'll show you a video I came across this week since we're talking about feeds. This is one of the freakiest videos I ever saw. When it comes to tornadoes.
Yeah, I was looking for one I seen where these guys get stuck in a vehicle and it goes right over them.
See if I can find it. It's going to be very, very hard to find because I'm sure everybody's got one. I think, yeah, this is it.
The future of your business.
You know, if we ever get
here.
copyrighted for
With
these
Wix,
ads, I'm going to
you get
scream.
advanced AI capabilities.
All right. Turn the volume down a smidge. There we go.
Fox alert, large tornado on stream, large tornado on stream. Take my stream
Skip ahead
ASAP.
here in a couple spots because there's one particular part that was crazy. So this was happening live, and people are like watching this as he's doing it. It's nuts.
Oh my gosh, the audible roar on this, guys.
Here's the scene. Watch how fast this tornado comes up on him. This thing was booking.
Yeah, some of them get pretty quick.
Yeah.
Ari, were you just... Gotta get ease.
Yeah.
He's like, haul ass.
Yeah.
Not a tornado to play with.
What's worse is the road curves where it's like directly in his path.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Almost looks like it's chasing him.
Yeah, I know, right? See how it curved right behind him? He was fine a moment ago, and then that road turned, and now it's right on his butt.
Oh, that guy turned. He's like, oh, God.
Like, that's horrified. Like, you think nothing's
Oh
going
my
on.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes the
Turn
Transformers.
around, get east, get east.
Dang, dude. Semi trucks are screwed. When was this?
This was just a couple days ago. Like, this happened like
In Oklahoma?
No, in Arkansas.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit Arkansas, and it was pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any deaths?
I don't know if this tornado. I don't know.
I can't see it behind me at this time.
And just in the couple of seconds where he stopped to warn those guys, look how much ground it gained. That thing had to be moving like 50, 60 an hour.
Those other cars are just gone. It's like...
Hey, Ari, strong tornado on the ground about to pass.
Another
Still
storm.
a very strong tornado.
I'm trying to look for the video. They come across one that was like 70 miles an hour. Find it.
Crap. Not really. I'm getting out ahead of it, trying to stay in a safe spot. Sorry,
Right,
visual.
that's
about
pretty
to be
much
hard.
it, but
It's
watch-
abrasive. It is passing
watch this.
Just behind me at this time.
So it crosses, but watch how quickly this thing gets rain wrapped. Look how big that thing is right now, and then just
Yeah.
watch how it disappears. This is insane.
Easily, Ari, without a doubt, I can say this is high-end EF3, if not low-end EF4. Ari, I'd say it's fairly narrow, no more than 100 yards at this point.
Look at that. You wouldn't even know that was on you until it was right on top of you. It's just a dark patch of rain now. All right. So sorry, that was my nerding out
Dang.
for the day.
That's cool.
That was
so I wonder
crazy.
if the water vortexing is what causes the electricity.
The water vortex. I don't know.
I wonder what caused it, because it's got to be like friction, right?
Yeah,
Gotta
you
be
would think
something
so.
generating that current.
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Trevor?
Those things are scary.
Yeah.
The worst
Pretty
part is-
sweet though.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're sweet to watch, but when they're right on top of you.
Yeah. Oh, Jess was helping me out with the Nicene Council thing. She said 325 AD. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. I was blanking out because I'm an idiot. So
325 AD.
yeah, that's when the Council of Nicaea kicked in. So, all right. Well, that's our discussion on tornadoes. So,
Yay.
Yay.
So
All
spinny.
right. So spinny. Yeah, I would love to go chasing some sometime.
It would be fun.
That would be. I've done it a couple times myself, but the closest I ever got to actually seeing it the way I wanted to was the one that hit Owasso a few years back. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I only got to look at it for like a couple seconds though, which really sucked. But anyway.
Yeah. Dang tootin'.
Dang tootin', yeah. So, what else are we going to talk about, gentlemen? We got 15 minutes to kill.
We can talk about what we want to talk about next week.
What do we want to talk about next week? I want to talk about Ammon Hillman at some point, but somebody's going to have to take point on the research because I don't really have a whole lot of time on it. But we're just making people so mad, and I'm like, we've got to.
Yeah. Got to keep doing that.
Yeah,
you want to pull up
it's a
those
pain
comments?
point.
We could go over those comments.
I feel like that would be petty.
No,
so
okay, let's not do that. What about positive comments?
Nah.
Oh, we don't get very many of those.
Yeah, Ammon will be fun to pick on. I mean, my favorite person to pick on is Brandon Biggs. We all know this, but yeah, Ammon, he's a mess.
Yeah, I'm just
I mean,
amazed.
I just honestly it feels like he doesn't even know what he's talking about. He just seems like a liar to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, he literally called the anointing oil like human semen.
Yeah.
Like, you idiot. You do realize that Israel's covered with olive trees, right? It was olive oil, you dingus. So, like, there's no correlation with, like, anything related to the body in those ceremonies anyway. Like, how are you even getting that?
Yeah. It's like, look, man, I just, you know?
Yeah, you know?
In the research, what am I gonna have to look for?
Well, first of all, what exactly does this guy say? Because the last time we watched him, it just looked like he was just butchering the Greek. And we looked at the Strong's Concordance, and we're like, that's not even close. But, I mean, obviously he would go, well, the Strong Concordance bought by the man. So, you know, everybody's going to be wrong except for him. So we need to figure out what he says, and then we need to actually, like, deconstruct his argument, like, just basically using logic. Because if we go with the Greek, everybody's going to be like, well, yeah, of course they would say that, man. So
You've got a good accent for him.
Oh, thanks.
It's almost as good as my Brandon Biggs one.
Yeah, there we go.
We should put him and Brandon Biggs in the same room. See what happens.
Me and Brandon Biggs?
No.
Eamon Hillman and Brandon Biggs.
Eamon Hillman and
He would
Brandon
convert Brandon Biggs for sure. And Brandon Biggs would be like, see, I prophesied that I would be a Satan worshiper at some day. Look at this video that I made just 10 minutes ago. The Lord told me about it.
10 minutes ago.
I still don't know how he got that ear thing, but yeah, that was a letdown. Good night.
Yeah.
I still think he was bought.
He was bought?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody told him, hey, talk about this and be a distraction for us.
Oh, you think somebody paid
His
old
demon.
Brandon?
He was listening to his thoughts. That's what happened. His thoughts are demons.
Well, you think demons actually give these guys prophecies?
Oh, the CIA does.
Oh, you're thinking CIA and Cody's thinking demons.
Well, the demons run the CIA, so.
I mean, I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, Trevor, what I would do is I would just basically find some videos of his and let's watch them, and then I'll try to, at some point in the week, try to like deconstruct it just logically, because dollars to donuts, there's going to be tautologies, historical inaccuracies that can be verified from places other than Strong's. Like, all these guys typically have like circular reasoning buried in their arguments usually, so you can pick it apart normally.
Do you want me to pull up the shorts that everyone is like, oh, he's so cool, he's right?
Yeah, that would be good. The shorts would be good. If we did 3 or 4 shorts and just deconstructed those.
Because that's
work.
what people are seeing, and that's where they're believing.
They're probably not catching the burned out shroom accent because of that too.
Well, these videos are being, extremely edited, and
yeah,
the really good parts are pulled out, and that's it.
Yeah. So no, grab that stuff, and we'll analyze what he's saying in detail next time. I think that would be good, because I'm just shocked people are buying this. Like, why?
It's just like you said earlier. It's people are lazy. They don't want to do the research and look it up themselves.
Yeah. I think I said last time. Yeah, I did say last time that I suspected that this is the new atheism. Like, this is just only instead, because atheism didn't stick because of the degeneracy. Now we're gonna go with an alien pantheon or something. So.
That's what the Anunnaki book is, right?
Yeah, like maybe you
Alien
can
pantheon.
maybe you can make a connection between that book of demons and the alien species or something.
The Ars Goetia?
Like the parallels between this. Like, like the parallels between the Ars Goetia or whatever that thing's called, and what was there, some 71 or something like that alien species now?
72, I think.
Yeah. So I bet you could get some eerie similarities. Like Lester Crowling claimed to see a gray, the guy who started Church of Satan. Yeah. Like his demon that he said he was talking to, when he drew it, looked like a gray. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Demons are gay, though.
Yeah, I just feel like we need to go after this ancient architecture, ancient world stuff, and kind of go into the past.
What, Tartaria?
Yeah, like Tartaria.
Oh.
We don't have to do that. It's just an idea, but stuff of that ilk, because it's like the flat Earth theory. It's coming back around.
All mountains are melted buildings. You like that theory?
I wasn't aware of that theory. Like, I know what Greg told me about it. Greg said these people are idiots because they're misinterpreting the word. Like, Tartaria literally is like some word in some language that means the middle of nowhere, and people have construed that for a country. So
there's like, I think all these pictures, well, not all of them, but I think a lot of the pictures people are finding of like, oh, look at this mountain. It's it's a melted building. Like, it's all AI pictures. They're just like, they're not even real.
That's Matrix.
They're like, no, this is an old world picture. Like, what are you talking about, old world picture?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Speaking of the Matrix, I have a video we could watch on the Matrix.
Uh-oh. All right.
The guy tying it to biblical stuff. It's very interesting.
Well, how does that work? I mean, is he talking about the one archetype, or is he saying we live in the Matrix, or how does that work?
Is Neo Jesus?
Your Jesus.
No, sir.
So is it this link trapped inside this tornado?
Yeah, that's the skip to 245. That's when they get it.
Oh, well, I'm talking about the Matrix one. Was that the Matrix one you're referring to?
No, that's that trapped inside the tornado video I saw.
There's a guy inside a tornado?
These tornado chasers get stuck. Their car gets stuck inside the tornado with them in it. It's crazy. And they're recording the whole time.
That's pretty cool.
Do
they fly?
You can't really tell in the video, but their car's flipped over by the end of it. And they're still in it.
Are we wanting to watch that and forgetting the Matrix thing?
You can if you want to. I'm looking for the Matrix thing.
Oh, so you're still looking for that?
Yeah, just watch the tornado guy.
Oh, okay. While he's looking, we'll watch the tornado thing then. All right. Let's see.
Yeah,
here.
skip to 2:45.
Okay. All right. Trapped inside this tornado.
In your sweet
245.
245.
Oh my gosh! Oh! Our escape route
This is right when it hits them.
It's okay, Riley. It's okay. Our escape route. These winds don't make it seem like it's okay right now. I get it. Yep. Oh my
You guys being a beta.
Oh!
Don't be a beta.
Lord Jesus, please protect us in the name of Jesus. Oh, fun.
Is it weird that my greatest fear about death is embarrassing myself before I die? Like saying something really stupid?
Guys.
Makes sense.
Okay, we're okay.
Makes sense.
We're okay. Dude, I don't know where that tornado is right now. I don't like that either. Okay.
So they got trapped in
tornado's
between
right
the
next to us,
power
right
lines.
Yeah.
Goodness.
It's tornado's right next to us, right here. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no.
He sounds like his mother.
Dude, I think we do. No, calm
Oh
down.
dear.
There's. Holy shoot.
Good.
Holy shoot.
He did.
No, hold on. I'm looking. It's gonna.
Why are you gonna roll? Why bother? It's gonna shatter it anyway.
This is terrible. Thank you, Jesus, for protecting us in the name of Jesus. And I think that you're gonna protect us right now.
Is there like a delay in the chat? Because Jess was like, to be fair, 20 years ago you were 16. Well, thank you.
I'm having a little bit. I keep having to hit the live button. Yeah. I keep having to reload the live.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, there it goes.
Crying like a girl.
I ain't gonna make fun of him because I think I'd hit a falsetto or two myself.
It's intense.
That is intense. Good night. Yeah. Hey, their windows are actually intact.
Yeah, well, the back windshield is busted.
Oh, the back window busted? Okay.
Yeah.
So calm down. Let's figure this out together.
The crazy part is they were all three okay.
They were what?
All three of them were okay.
Well, that's good. That's a miracle.
Watch their car though; it's destroyed from the outside.
Hey, most important is that we're alive.
Yeah.
Guys, do not get out of that car. There are power lines. What are you doing? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they flipped a few times. This guy was in the back seat.
He's fine.
So,
I'm so sorry, God.
No, bro, it's not your fault. Okay, we all.
It's fine. It's happened. It's in the past. What's the most important is we're okay, and that's again. This is all material stuff. That doesn't matter.
Cover a place to stay.
I'm sorry. The navigation.
It's just,
dude. I'm right now. I'm done.
He's done.
I'm done.
He's done.
I can't, dude.
He can't. He's done. He can't, dude.
It's a bad day.
The
It's a
risk
bad day.
of tornado chasing.
Yeah. You know, Cody,
yeah.
you talk about karma all the time. I am not going to make fun of that dude because that will happen to me, and I will shriek and cry like a baby. I'm sure of it. So.
I found that video on the Matrix.
All right.
It's how to escape the Matrix biblically. So I interpreted it wrong.
Oh, okay. So it's like the Matrix Society then? Like
Yeah.
just an allegory for society?
Yeah.
So it's like...
But it's a freaking 2-hour podcast, so I was like,
Yeah, we don't need to spend 2 hours learning that everything is fake. It's
Yeah.
just the Truman Show. So... All right. Jessica says, to be fair, 20 years ago, you were 16. By the way, doesn't opium come from poppy flowers? I can grow poppy in my front yard. We are not dealing in opium.
you can deal in the other one.
I don't want to. So...
I think she must have paused the podcast and she's way behind.
I think it's got to be
Well,
something like that, yeah.
It's like I said, I've been having to refresh it every couple minutes. It keeps pausing on me or something.
Well, because we keep calling the CIA a cartel.
That's possible.
So, yeah. They're like, well, we got to give these guys problems.
The cartel intelligence.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't think it's poppy flower. I think it's...
I have no idea.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Okay.
It might be frowned upon to look up, but how to grow opium, you know.
You know, the Fed's listening to us anyway, so.
Hi, Feds. Glad you could watch it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'd have more views if the Feds were watching.
And joke's on you. You had to sit through the whole show. I hope you thought it sucked.
Joke's on you.
Yep.
So, okay, gentlemen, that was our 30-minute miscellaneous round.
Yeah.
Unless anybody has
rando
anything.
talk.
Rando talk. Rando talk
Random
2.
talk.
So, anybody have anything else they want to discuss?
Nope.
Okay. Trevor,
Don't ask me. I'll tell a dad joke.
you get one.
I get one?
I'll give you one.
Yay.
One dad
Yay.
joke.
Did you hear about the ghost comedian?
Obviously not.
He was booed off stage.
Man. That was rough.
That hurt a little. That hurt a little, like a punch in the gut. So
It's not very ghost-like of you.
yeah, well, I'll be all right. Well, guys, that is it for the live stream. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.